right. So thank you everyone for joining us here for Upper Darby Township Council Committee meeting for August 5th, 2020. It is our first public committee meeting, which means it is a voting meeting as far as voting for things like advertising an ordinance or emergency resolution and things like that. It also means that there is public comment. And we have to start the meeting off with the Pledge of Allegiance. So let's everyone stand for a Pledge of Allegiance, and then we will also go into a moment of silence, which will first be led by Mayor Micozi, and then, Mayor Keffer, and then she will pass the mic to Councilman Burnett. Sorry. Okay. Everyone see the flag? I pledge allegiance
to the flag. The United States of America.
To the republic which it stands.
One nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I feel like we have to practice that. Council or Mayor Keffer, for the moment of silence. You should be standing though. You should remain standing for the moment of silence, but change your camera so that people can see your face. Or, Mayor, you need to back up a bit or move your camera.
I'm sorry. What are you saying, honey?
For the moment of silence, you're going to lead us on you wanted to speak, or if you want to sit to talk about what you wanted to say about the moment of silence.
I was just going to make a statement on behalf of the administration.
Go ahead. Then go ahead and sit and do it.
So on behalf of the administration, I wanted to say Nick Micozi served the state representative for the 163rd district, which contains part of Upper Darby from 1979 until 2014. His longstanding commitment and service literally and figuratively transcended traditional barriers. In addition to serving his community, Mr. Micozi also served his country as a staff sergeant in the United States Air Force from 1950 to 1954 during the Korean War. He also earned college degrees in business and electrical engineering. Some of the Upper Darby projects that he advocated for that will continue his storied legacy are the restoration of the Swedish Cabin and Delaware County's purchase of the Little Flower Manor property. Nick Micozi started his political career serving on Township Council from 1971 to 1989, and we're fortunate to still have Councilman Bonnet, who actually served on council with Nick Micozi, and I'd like to turn that over to Councilman Bonnet now.
Thank you, Mayor Keffer. I appreciate that. Members of council and members of the public listening in, I have to say I am very saddened by the loss of a great friend and public servant to the people of Upper Darby, Clifton Heights, Alden, and Lansdowne in the passing of Nick Micozi. Nick, as a former member of Upper Darby Township Council and as a Pennsylvania state representative, was true to his Republican constituency, but political affiliation didn't matter when he was asked to help someone who lived in his council or state legislative districts. I had the pleasure of knowing Nick for about 40 years. I sat beside him at the Township Council table for the 4+ years we served together. He was a mentor to me in my early years on Township Council and taught me the importance of bringing solutions to the needs of the people of Upper Darby. He remained an inspiration to me throughout all the years I've known him. He was a master of the techniques that form a great legislator. Nick was much more than a public official. In his private life, he was also a leader and a volunteer. He was a life member of the Primus C. Kane Westbrook Park Fire Company, a 4th-degree member of the De La Salle Council of the Knights of Columbus, and the president of the De La Salle Home Association, to which he devoted many hours, days, and weeks working programs to help preserve the viability of that organization. But it was apparent that most important in his life was his family, his loving wife, June, his daughters, Kathy and Kelly, and his son, or our former mayor, Tom Micozi, as well as his grandchildren and great-grandchildren. We have lost a great friend. Nick, you were loved by many. We will miss you. Thank you.
Does Councilman Wagner or Councilwoman Faralia like to say anything?
Yes, thank you. I would just like to add that our hearts go out to the entire Micozi family. Many of us know June, who was his loving wife, and she's just one of the most wonderful people I've ever known. And of course, so many of us know Thomas Micozi, a former mayor of this township, and I'm proud to call all the Micozi family personal friends to me. I'd also like to say thank you to you, Council President Laura Wentz, who reached out to Councilman Bonnet and Councilwoman Faralia and to myself to give us the opportunity to say a few words on his behalf, on Nick's behalf, because she knew that he was a personal friend to us. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Councilwoman Faralia, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Laura, for reaching out too, and my condolences to the Micozi family. It was a great loss for all of us. The gentle giant, a great man, and it's really, we all truly do love that family. Thank you.
You're welcome, and definite condolences from all of council. Councilman Gwynn, did you want to say a few words?
I knew Nick very limitedly. I knew him largely through his son, Tom, and the events that he had invited into that I happened to share. I know each of them was proud of the other's achievements, and they had a great deal of respect and would talk with anybody. I thank him.
Great. Well, thank you all for speaking about Honorable Nick Micozi. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your history with all of us about him. His passing is a great loss to our community, and Upper Darby Council wanted to send our condolences to him and his family. So we felt that the best way to do that is to do it by those who knew him the best. So thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Everyone make sure to fix your cameras. Now that they're all at the ceiling. Okay, so at this point in time, we're calling the meeting to order, and we're going to have a roll call. So Councilwoman Billups, please do the roll call. There you go.
Council President Wentz. Councilman Tunis.
Here.
Everyone turn on your mics.
Councilwoman Billups is here. Councilman Silva.
Here.
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Turn on your mic. Turn on your mic. Please turn on your mic.
Here, can you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you. Here.
Councilman Burke.
Brian, we didn't hear you. You gotta turn your mic on again.
Present.
Okay.
Councilman Siddiq.
Further away.
Here.
Councilwoman Faralia.
Present.
Councilman Bonnet.
Present.
Councilman Wagner.
Here.
President Wentz.
Here.
All present, and Councilman Gwynn. Sorry.
Present.
All present accounted for.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Okay, so next up, so in the June meeting, we passed an ordinance that changed the rules of decorum. So It appeared as the new ordinance had indicated, and so I'm going to read that. Upper Darby Township Council and residents will maintain professional respect for each other. Council encourages free speech, however, civility is required, which would prohibit threats, profanity, scandalous, impertinent, and redundant comment, or any comment the discernible purpose of which is to disrupt or prevent the conduct of business of the meeting. I have to practice that so that goes much smoother next time. Okay, so next up is our public comment. So if Miss Allison Dobbins can return and lead the way. And actually, so we had some confusions at the last meeting on public comment. So just so that we're all on the same page. Councilwoman Billups will do a 2-minute and 30-second timer, and I'll do a 3-minute timer so that
Your intention to meet with.
we have both the warning and the final for each public speaker. So that way everyone knows what's happening. We're cool with that? So, and go, Allison, starting my timer.
Great. First comment, Andrew Heyman, 309 Edmonds Avenue, Drexel Hill. As the borough manager in Fulcroft, I was proud to help orchestrate the passage of our ordinance decriminalizing marijuana in Fulcroft just a few weeks ago. As someone with experience working in the day-to-day operations of municipal government, I can tell you with some authority that this is the right action to take. My justification is as follows. Residents and others caught possessing marijuana for personal usage would face consequences, but would not be stuck with a criminal record that might block them from fully participating in our community. I don't think any reasonable person believes that the personal usage of marijuana warrants destroying someone's life. Let's also recognize that people of color are radically more likely to be arrested for possessing the drug. It's time to right this wrong too. This would also be a more reasonable utilization of resources. Right now, your officers must dedicate hours of their time to booking someone caught with a small amount of marijuana. This costs our town an enormous amount of money and tie up limited resources that could otherwise be used dealing with other issues. Fining offenders would reimburse us for this time and decrease the number of hours it takes to enforce the law. And let's face it, most of your officers would probably admit that they're already not enforcing existing laws with regard to marijuana because they have already identified that charging people with a crime for smoking a joint is a waste of their time. This is probably why you're seeing an increasing number of people smoking publicly. Give them actual enforceable consequences so they'll stop. Your decision should not be about money. It should be about fairness and efficiency. As a resident and as someone in the field, I urge you to pass this legislation. Thank you for your time. End of comment.
Thank you. All right. You ready, Michelle?
Yep.
Okay, and go ahead and go now, Allison.
LJ Steinig, 7543 Parkview Road, Upper Darby, PA, 19082. Dear City Council, I recently moved to the Highland Park neighborhood of Upper Darby, and I see people speeding down Parkview, as well as the perpendicular streets all the time. They continually run stop signs and drive in a way that is generally unsafe in a residential neighborhood. I'd like to recommend speed bumps, as I've seen them work in many other residential neighborhoods. There are many small children on our street, and I want them and their parents to feel safe. Thank you, LJ Steinig. End of comment.
Okay. So I just realized, just to go back to Andrew's, Mr. Heyman's comment, I just wanted to thank him for that comment, and we will be discussing that ordinance in the future. So thank you for the information to help us with that discussion. As far as LJ's comment, I live on Parkview and I agree 100%. So I just wanted to respond because I realized I didn't do that. So, okay, so, and go.
Michelle Fadaran, 72 South Harwood Avenue, Upper Darby. Question. Regarding trees, there's a tree near in my house owned by the town and the branches are already going to my roof. Is there any way the town can cut it off? Thank you. End of comment.
Can you, there's a tree. Can you repeat?
Could I just have that address, Allison, please?
Yeah, because
Sure. Address is 72 South Harwood Avenue, Upper Darby.
Okay. All right, thank you.
okay. Okay. All right, so next one, go.
Bart Everett, 7543 Parkview Road. A little over 2 years ago, I moved to Parkview Road in the Highland Park section of Upper Darby. One of the great things about the homes in this neighborhood are the porches, which allow neighbors to connect, a place to hang out, and especially during the pandemic, a place to be outside. However, not long after moving here, I noticed a pattern of extremely dangerous driving, which made me feel the neighborhood wasn't safe for children, elderly folks, and walkers such as myself. Parkview is often used as a shortcut between Westchester Pike and State Road. It's also on a hill with cars parked on the side, which sometimes obscures the view of the stop signs. Not only do cars speed down the street in excess of 50 miles an hour or more, anecdotally, more than half the cars passing my home have failed to even slow for the stop signs, much less stop. A little over a year ago, former Councilman Manfrey had fine warning signs attached to the stop signs, but unfortunately, despite this effort, cars run the stop signs at full speed unabated. I'd like to encourage Mayor Keffer, 4th District Councilwoman Blackwell, as well as the council at large members to spend an afternoon on Parkview to see just how dangerous this is. We need traffic calming speed humps. The previous administration stated these would impede snow removal and fire trucks. However, 5th Street and Northern Liberties, 47th Street and Springville Ave in University City are snow emergency routes, and yet managed to have these. Other local municipalities, including Haverford, have also installed speed bumps without any issues. Failure to address this will result in tragedy. It's not a matter of if, but when. Thank you. End of comment.
Thank you. Okay. And go.
Janice Heyman, 727 Stanbridge Road. First, many thanks to all of the first responders who rescued folks from the floodwaters yesterday and worked all through the dangerous and messy situation to keep us all safe. Your work is greatly appreciated. I hear the Fair Districts resolution is on the agenda. Please adopt this resolution to send a message to Harrisburg that Upper Darby supports impartial, fair, and transparent redistricting. Also, I support an ordinance that would decriminalize small amounts of marijuana. It keeps people out of jail, saving the taxpayers money, and frees up the police to concentrate on more important issues. Keep up the good work. End of comment.
Thank you. Yeah. So thank you for that comment, Ms. Heyman. Yeah, thank you. And go.
Nicole Laria, 4103 Vernon Road. Hello, I had a few comments and questions for tonight's meeting. I wanted to ask why, if it was said only a couple meetings back by Mayor Keffer and others, that there would be no knee-jerk reaction to any defunding or cuts to our police department, why almost immediately in a following meeting, there was talk about dismantling SWAT and possibly our K-9 unit as well. As was greatly proven yesterday when our area was extremely hit and affected by the storm, our police department SWAT vehicle was once more a crucial and necessary part of saving lives and keeping our community safe. These departments have time and time again proven their worth to the Upper Darby Township and are more than justified to stay intact. Yes, this also goes for our K-9 unit. So how can any department cuts be defended? The vast majority of our township, who have spoken on this before, want to also know why this is even being discussed, let alone being acted upon, when due to COVID-19 restrictions still being placed, the people of this community cannot even be present in person to be heard. End of comment.
Okay. Does anyone want to respond to this? Okay. I will respond as far as COVID-19. Because of the limitations, we can't have more than 25 people in a room. That means with council and the support staff, we would be at 20 people in the chamber and then therefore there would be no public. And because the Okay, because and then there's a timely factor on when our agenda and ordinances and resolutions get posted the Tuesday before the meeting. There's no time to register people in time to have them speak in public. So that's why we do it through email instead of voice comments. I see Michelle, and then I saw Don. So Michelle, you wanted to respond?
Thank you, President Wentz. I just want to say that not once have I heard Mayor Keffer and the administration say that they were defunding SWAT. So I don't know where that information is coming from. And I just want to say that. So, and about the K9 unit. So I just want to have it on record that if people want real information, I think they should ask the administration and not put rumors out there, because rumors are really hurtful. So just ask if they want information, if they want the true facts. Just ask the administration and they will get the true facts, because it's really hurtful to make assumptions. You know what they say about assumptions. So that's just my 2 cents.
Okay, Councilman Burnett.
Thank you, President Wentz. I have a question from or about the K9 unit to be addressed by the mayor. Mayor Keffer, is it in fact true that we have disbanded the K9 unit, and if we have, why have we done so? Your mic.
So this is the first time I'm hearing of it, Councilman Burnett, and I think this goes to what Councilwoman Billups said about rumors. I don't know that we should be spending time during a public meeting answering rumors. There's nothing going on with the K9 unit as far as I know. So
That's why I asked the question for clarity. Are we disbanding it or not?
I know of.
Okay, that's a point that clarifies it for my purposes then.
Okay, great. Sorry, Councilman Wagner. Go ahead, your mic on. Okay.
My mic is on, yes. I have heard that the K9 unit was in fact disbanded, and that someone actually showed up at the home of an officer with a K9 dog and literally took the dog. You know nothing about this? This has
been discussed at prior meetings. That there was a retired dog that was given to the prison to be a service animal, but it was out of service in the department at the request of the K9 unit. But in no way was it a disbanding of the K9 unit, a defunding of the K9 unit. It was a service animal that had met the end of its useful life with the department, and the decision was made in consultation with the officer and the superintendent to send the dog to be a service animal at the prison. So I mean, I think this is a pretty good example of where the rumor and the whisper down the lane happens.
I think it's a pretty good example of a councilman who has a question, and I don't appreciate it being cast as a rumor whisper down the lane. I've got a question, that's it. And so you've answered it. You've denied that this has occurred, and thank you for your answer.
No. I think that's, first of all, this is public comment and not the appropriate forum for this conversation in any form or fashion. So that's number one. Number two, you started by saying that you've heard, and it wasn't, and I apologize, Councilman Wagner, it wasn't meant as any kind of aspersion or accusation toward you, but the placement of this dog with the prison was discussed months and months and months ago, at public meetings, et cetera. And so the resurfacing of it, and the truth is, I mean, I don't know why we're talking about this now or in public, but the officer had agreed and then changed his mind after the decision was already made. So he said, I don't want to take the dog. And then he said, I do want to take the dog after the decision was already made to send the dog to the prison. So, you know, as with anything, it's a little more complicated than any one person or any one post on Facebook might want anyone to believe. I mean, I guess I'm not really happy to go through the details in this forum, but I will do it in order to, you know, create clarity if that's what's necessary.
Okay. Lisa, you have your hand up on the thing. Is that old from previous things?
That's from before.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something. Okay. So any other comments on the residents' comment? Seeing none. I just got to get my timer back on. Sorry, it went away. Oh, there it is. Okay, so Allison and Michelle, you ready? And go.
John Vazari, 353 Kirks Lane. I have two concerns that I would like to raise. Number one, a copy of a flyer that was supposedly created by Upper Darby Council was circulating on social media. A screenshot of this flyer is attached to this email. The flyer is regarding ordinance number 3079, which was passed in July regarding the administration to allow F2 public council meetings a month. The heading at the top of the flyer is Upper Darby Township Council and lists 6 out of 11 council member names along with Treasurer David Hartman. The names listed on the flyer are Council President Laura Wentz, Council at Large, Vice President Robert Gwynn, 5th District, Secretary Michelle Billups, Council at Large, Council members Danielle Blackwell, 4th District, Brian Burke, Council at Large, Matt Silva, Council at Large. The following council members' names were omitted: Donald Bennett, 1st District, Lisa Faralia, 2nd District, Thomas Wagner, 3rd District, Sheikh Sadiq, 6th District, Hafiz Tunis, 7th District. What would be a valid reason that document/flyer with a heading of Township Council would be circulated without listing the entire names of Upper Darby Township Council? Perhaps there is a valid reason, such as those listed were part of the committee. However, the document does not indicate this was something issued from a specific committee. This certainly doesn't scream transparency and implies that those listed are the only member of Upper Darby Council. Number two, what preparations did this administration take in advance of the storm that hit R on Tuesday, August 4, 2020? End of comment.
Okay, so I'm gonna field the flyer question. So I am the creator of the flyer. I was trying to get a whole lot of information on it at once, and I found that I was not able to list every single council member. The one thing he failed to mention that was on the flyer, it says Council President Laura Wentz at Large, Vice President Robert Gwynn, 5th District, Secretary Michelle Billups, Council at Large, council members. So that's why the officers were listed. And then for each district, I made a different flyer. The flyer was designed to go to the doors, every single door. They were given to certain council members. I started with the 4th, 5th, and 6th, and 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, because I believed, I was mistaken apparently, but I believe that because property maintenance had not been enforced in those districts in the 19082, that I figured that's where the township was going to start their enforcement, because we were the ones that did not get enforced in the past. Just having alarm issues. So therefore, I had communicated with Councilman Gwynn, Councilwoman Blackwell, Councilman Sadiq, and Councilman Tunis I did make up ones for the first, second, and third districts. I had not had a chance to reach out to those council members, but I do have those flyers. And unfortunately, not yet, Danielle, Councilwoman Phillips. I specifically had, when I gave them to the council members, I specifically remember saying that they are for the doors and not for social media. The intent was to get them to the people who aren't on the internet, that aren't on Facebook, who can't find our Facebook page as council to see the updates like everyone else who's on Facebook. So it was not meant to be a slight on any council member. Councilwoman Blackwell happened to have posted hers for the 4th district on her Facebook page. And so on hers, the only district council person mentioned is Danielle Blackwell. But I have, like, if you can see this is the one for Councilman Tunis is on there, okay? And then I have one, this is for Sheikh Sadiq. I misspelled Sheikh on his. I don't know if you can fully see that. I have one for the one that was just for the 5th district doesn't list a specific, because Councilman Gwynn is the vice president, so he's listed there. And then I have one for Lisa Feralia for the 2nd district. I had not had a chance to get to talk to her and to Councilman Wagner and Councilman Bonnet about their flyers to talk about them themselves, make sure, because I think Councilman Bonnet would prefer me to put his full name instead of just Don Bonnet. So that is what happened. I am sorry if other council members were offended. It was not my intent. The point was to get information on that flyer that included the 2 meetings a month, public meetings a month. My goal was to get 4 flyers to a page. And if I put everyone on it, I couldn't do it without making the print really, really small. And I was already getting yelled at that the elderly or those who have problems seeing needed a magnifying glass as is. On the second side of it was the Delco alert from our mayor about property maintenance and what they needed to look at. And this is the back of the flyer with information with the request line on it. So it was not done in malice. It was not done to offend anyone. It was done to get information out to the public that would need it, that were not on Facebook. So I am very sorry for the misunderstanding. I'm very sorry for any offense taken by any council member. It was not my intent. The intent was to get the information out there. The printing of it, a lot of it was done in my house on my printer with my paper. Some of it was also done with my paper and in the municipal clerk office while I was in there working on a project for council. So that is the answer to that.
For the record, I was not offended.
Council members made flyers before. I just hadn't got a chance to talk to Don, Lisa, and Tom. And Tom, I'm sorry, I didn't hear your comment. I'm sorry.
I said I was not offended.
Thank you. Thank you. And then Councilwoman Blackwell, you are the reason why this is all over the place. So you wanted to comment?
Thank you for your comments. You've done a fine job in disseminating the information. That's the purpose of the communication. Although it was put on social media and intended strictly for relief, door-to-door knocking, the information had to get out. One of my constituents stated that the 4th district didn't receive all of the information and we need to get the information out of there and to the community. They got it. I apologize if all the names weren't there. They couldn't be there. It was for the 4th district. This was already done. People needed the information and they got it. And it's nothing about malice. It was for the 4th district already in here.
Your flyer was for the 4th district only. That's why it was
exactly.
For the
and everything had already been in place. The ordinances.
Yes, but the ordinance affects the entire township. And it was not, when I handed you the flyer, it was only for you to drop the doors and not put it on Facebook. People can get it from our council Facebook page.
They needed to get the information regardless, and they got the information. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Let's move on.
Please.
Yes, let's do that. Okay, so Allison, if you can come back to us. We did, there was a second half of that question. I'm sorry, I was a little focused on the first half. I didn't know if anyone wanted to answer the second half. Oh, preparation for the storm. I think the storm went farther inland than anyone expected, but that, Mayor, did you want to respond?
I was going to discuss the pre-storm plans and also what the storm itself in my regular mayor's address. So
great, awesome, thank you. Okay, so Lisa, or sorry, I was looking at Lisa. Councilwoman Billups and Allison, Ms. Dobbins, are you guys ready? And go.
Olivia Taylor, 204 Kent, Upper Darby, PA. As a resident of Upper Darby for many years, it saddens me to see the township deteriorating under this administration. You are also focused on trying to defund our police that you have neglected the other parts of this township. There were warnings all weekend long that this storm was coming, and yet the day of August 4th, the men from Leisure Services are out there working, trying to clear the storm drains and sewers the day of the storm. And because of the lack in response, it has resulted into more businesses being lost, also property damages as well. This administration passed the ordinance for sewer lateral targeting home buyers. The problem is the main line, which hasn't been replaced in years, which resulted in a breakage yesterday. I witnessed gallons and gallons of water pour into Marshall Road, resulted in flooding and total mayhem for drivers and pedestrians. On another subject, we are in the national pandemic. COVID-19 is a deadly disease. I wish more people would take this serious. The masjid on South 69th Street is only allowed 25 members at a time. Every Friday, there's over 200 members crammed into this place. How are we going to fight this disease when this is allowed to happen? Every resident in Upper Darby must follow the rules, and it applies to mosque as well. We have the highest rate of COVID-19 patients. Barbarian, you have these pre-recorded messages quoting Governor Wolf and his mandate. This is also a mandate, and I hope you will enforce it. If not, I will contact the state health department. Thanks. End of comment.
Okay.
May
Councilman Siddiq.
I? Yeah, I would like to make a comments on Masjid 69th Street. And when it was a red zone, the masjid was not open for the congregation for the prayers. When you get the yellow zone, limited congregator, they come and make a prayer, and we strictly follow the social distancing, wearing mask, wearing gloves, and use the hand sanitizer. When it become greens, we allowed around 50 people, and then same way, we strictly follow social distancing, wear the mask, the gloves, and the prayer rugs. They have to bring them themselves. If nobody is prepared for this, we turn away this one. So we strictly follow the CDC guideline. And remember, the masjid or any religious organization is not is a suggestion for them to allow so many people, but it's not mandatory for them. However, we never packed up the masjid. Very limited people make the prayer following all the CDC guideline. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Nope. Okay. Councilwoman Billups and Ms. Dobbins, and go.
Greetings, Mayor Keffer, Chairperson Wentz, and council members. My name is Scott Keene, and I reside at 72 Concord Avenue in Drexel Hill. First and foremost, I would like to thank each of you for your dedication to Upper Darby Township. Having lived in this community for almost 20 years, I take pride in the work that each of you do to better our community. This brings me to my first comment, partisanship. Each and every one of you serves the entirety of Upper Darby Township. Although some have specific districts, you serve all of Upper Darby Township comes under your purview as a council. It is painful for me to see the partisanship from both sides. This community needs representation for the entire community, not a divisive one. I urge each of you to think of this with every vote. There is not one single resident in this township that deserves any more or less than any other resident. With the advent of streaming meetings, every resident now has access to watch live, and the infighting within the council only makes the council look petty. I know for a fact that none of you want that for your community. My second comment is partly to have it in the record, but also a serious question. On July 28, 2020, Upper Darby Township and the state of Pennsylvania lost a member of our community who dedicated his life and also his family's lives in the service of this community. Although I never met Nick Micozi, I know of his work, and after his passing, did some research of my own to become more educated. He served on both sides of the aisle and was known for working with both sides of the aisle. He is a person who should be exemplified at every opportunity. Governance is not about winning. It's about doing what is right for the largest body you can. From what I have read, Representative Micozi governed this way. That being said, why did it take the township 3 days to recognize his passing? I'm not suggesting a parade or a countywide day of remembrance, but why did this administration and this council take 72 hours to post a celebration of his commitment to our community? This would have been a perfect opportunity to show unity across party lines, and it was squandered. I hope you can provide the residents of this community for an answer to this question. Thank you again for your dedication to the community, Scott. End of comment.
So I will feel that I did, it did take me a little while to post an article on our Township Council page, so I'm sorry for the delay on that. I'm hoping that our moment of silence at the beginning of this meeting will make up for that lack of posting of an article on him. Our council in the beginning of this meeting made sure that he was well represented. So thank you. Okay, sorry, you're waiting for me. Okay, and go.
Joe Clark and Sadie Thomas, 75 Houston Road, Upper Darby Township. Last month, we suggested a resolution to ordinance 3072. It was said that this cannot be done as a resolution. We would like to request that the following be considered for a new ordinance instead, in addition to 3072. It was read at the last meeting, so it's not necessary to reread it, but it is included for your convenience. Would you like me to read it?
I know, can you give me a summary of what give us?
I think I have to read it.
Yeah, yeah, you gotta read it, sorry.
Owners of vehicles may apply for a hobby permit. In order for a permit to be issued, the owner of the vehicle must be able to provide proof of residency at the address property the vehicle is located on, or provide written permission from the property owner of the owner of the vehicle does not live at or does not own the property the vehicle is located on. In addition, the owner of the vehicle will be required to provide proof that the vehicle is insured either through auto or homeowner's coverage, that the vehicle is either within a secure structure, which includes a garage, carport, car cover, or fencing, or that the space the vehicle is kept on is clean from fluids and debris, and that the vehicle body is in safe, solid condition to prevent harm to persons and animals, and that the vehicle is properly secured. Additionally, the vehicle must not be stored in an open space in dilapidated condition. The body must be whole and free from rust and kept in a clean condition. Permits will be granted upon receipt of the requested proof and a payment of $50. Permits will need to be renewed annually, and renewals will need to meet the same requirements as obtaining the initial permit. Upon issuance of the permit, the vehicle owner will be provided with a paper permit, as well as a sticker to be affixed to driver's side of the rear window. Owners will have 30 days from the date of expiration to renew their permits if the owner is unable to meet the requirements prior to the permit expiration. After 30 days, the owner may be subject to an abandonment notice and subject to any regulations allowed within Ordinance 3072. We would like to address the issues that have arisen from current events. First, there is a video that is circulated of Mayor Keffer promising UDTJ that SWAT will be gone by the end of the year. As no such statement has been made to the council or the public, we feel this was a very poor decision to promise a group to making demands any such thing. We also find this disturbing and unprofessional. Additionally, we would like to remind council and the administration that the SWAT team has been utilized to protect the community twice now within the last 3 months. We would also like to remind you that not only is Upper Darby the largest township in the country and among the largest municipalities in the state, which alone justifies having a SWAT team, but that 69th Street Terminal is the level 2 target terrorist target on the Homeland Security watch list. We urge you not to do away with SWAT. Also, we would like to suggest that rather than defunding the police department, that an oversight committee be put in place to ensure that funds are being utilized appropriately. This committee should consist of financial experts as well as first responders that are familiar with the function and needs of emergency service agencies. Obviously, those first responders would not be able to be paid.
Hold.
Yeah.
We're at time. Thank you to Mr. Clark and Ms. Thomas for reminding us about the hobby vehicle ordinance. We will assign the potential of that ordinance. We'll be assigning it, I believe, to public safety today, so I will make that happen. So thank you for that reminder, and thank you for your comments on SWAT. And I do understand that the vehicle was used in multiple rescues yesterday, so I'm sure that'll be a conversation. Any other public comments? Ms. Dobbins?
Yes.
How many more do we have?
One.
Okay, great.
We're at 30 minutes.
Yes, but 30 minutes.
I know. I got
Yes,
you.
public comment were, like, I was talking a lot, so it's 30 minutes, but 30 minutes of the residents talking.
I understand, but Allison said we only have one more, so.
Right, that's what I mean. I'm gonna go with the last one. So I just wanted to prep us for our timers, and timers go. Go ahead.
Marlon Washington, 3420 Garrett Road. Good evening. I saw this flyer shared on Facebook about a change in council, but it only seems to have been passed around one part of the city. Why was it not shared elsewhere? Only half of council is listed. What happened to the others on council? It would be nice to see our councilmen around the neighborhood on days other than election day. And then a screenshot is attached. All of these comments were emailed to council prior to the start of the meeting.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for the comment on the flyer. We did clarify that, answer that question earlier in the public comment. Yes, great. Thank you. Okay, so next up, so that's a close to the public comment, public forum. Next up is myself, Councilwoman or President Laura Wentz. I just wanted to thank all of our first responders for all of their amazing work, and our public works department for basically everyone, all of our workers in our township for everything they did yesterday and today, and are continuing to do to clean up after this massive storm that we had. Many streets turned into rivers, and intersections turned into lakes, and parking lots turned into lakes. I know that some of the areas where the flooding hit were places that have always flooded in previous storms. And so I'm fairly certain our mayor and administration is going to be doing their best along with whatever assistance council can give them to improve those conditions to make it better and less stormy for the future. So at that point in time, I'd like to pass it on to Mayor Kemp. You need to unmute your mic. Your mic is, you got to unmute. You have to unmute. There you are. There you go.
Okay. Thank you, Council President Wentz. Yesterday's flash floods devastated parts of our township. I'd like to thank our public works staff who did much of the pre-storm prep work on Monday, clearing storm drains, and who worked throughout yesterday and today to address the aftermath. Thanks also go out to our police and fire departments, both of whom worked with members of Public Works and L&I to redirect traffic, clear the storm drains, newly clogged with debris, and help people trapped in stores and in cars. All told, over 70 people were rescued yesterday. Thanks also to members of our emergency management team who, working with the county and the Red Cross, township families relocate to hotels. The days following a natural disaster can be overwhelming and stressful if you experienced property damage. It is important that you contact your insurance company as soon as possible, save receipts, and take photographs of damage. The Ready PA website has resources to assist you. They can be reached at ready.pa.gov, or you can call the mayor's request line at 610-734-7625 for details. And because of the devastation, I have issued an emergency declaration similar to the one I issued in March. This sets the foundation for any disaster relief funding that we will qualify for. The storm also disrupted our normal trash and recycling schedule, and I thank you for your understanding and patience as we make adjustments. I hope tonight council will join me in support of the appointment of Bishop Keith Thomas to the Historic Commission. He will be an asset in the Upper Darby Underground Railroad project. Some job openings will be posted tomorrow on our township website. And this week we resumed our street sweeping pilot program. Compliance was good, and we're looking to fine tune the program and expand it throughout the township. And lastly, we are moving forward with the community center project. The firm of Buell, Kratzner, and Powell has been awarded the contract for the feasibility study. We will be holding a public meeting along with the Recreation Committee and the Planning Committee to get residents' input on this exciting project. So thank you.
Laura, you're muted.
Sorry, yes. Mayor Keffer, on the agenda that went out to the public, there was also an appointment for Kevin Colgan for Municipal Emergency Management Coordinator. Can you just give us a little information on that appointment? And I know it's gonna be moved to this August 19th meeting, but I just wanted to ask you to say a few words.
Really quickly, Kevin Colgan is a longtime township employee, but he's on vacation this week. And so part of why we would prefer that it be voted on at the next meeting is that he could be, I guess he could watch it now, but he would actually be in the township. So thank you for postponing that.
Thank you. Okay. So at this time, can we get a motion to make the appointment of Reverend Keith M. Thomas to the Historic Commission? Can we have that motion? You got to turn on your microphones. I heard it.
Second it. Second it.
Okay, so second by Tunis and moved by
Me, Laura, Councilman
Silva. Okay. Are there any questions or concerns?
And this is being done by resolution, correct, which is in front of council? Yes.
Yes, sorry, I didn't have the resolution in my hand because it didn't get on the agenda, so.
Oh, it is.
It is.
Oh, it's on the, no, but the resolution number, is it on the?
Yeah, it is resolution 3220.
Right, but the resolution number wasn't on the agenda itself. That's where I was confused.
Okay.
Can you read the resolution for us?
Sure, I'd be happy to, just so we have it.
Yes.
A resolution of Upper Darby Township, Delaware County, appointing Keith Thomas to the Historical Commission and providing an effective date. Upper Darby established an historical commission by resolution 3891 on July 17, 1991. Whereas section 403 of the Home Rule Charter of the Township provides that the mayor appoints with the approval of council all members of authority boards and commissions. Whereas the mayor desires to make an appointment to the Historical Commission, now therefore be it resolved by Upper Darby Council that Keith Thomas is approved as a member of the Historical Commission by Township Council for a 3-year term expiring on December 31st, 2022.
You froze. Can you?
I'm sorry. I read it. Yeah.
Yeah, we froze on Keith Thomas.
Do you need me to read the resolution again?
No, I just need you to, after you said Keith Thomas, what was the rest?
Now therefore by Upper Darby Council that Keith Thomas is approved of the Historical Commission of Upper Darby Township for a 3-year term expiring on December 31st, 2022.
Okay.
And that's the resolution. There's a
Okay.
severability clause and effective date, same as every other. Yep.
Okay, great. So we had a moved by Silva and seconded by Tunis. And so are there any questions or concerns on this resolution? Seeing none, can everyone turn your microphones on? All those in favor of this resolution, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Abstains? Ayes have it. Thank you. Great. And then, sorry, I'm messing up my pages. Okay. So we are moving forward to the Finance Committee, Finance and Appropriations Committee. Co-chairs Councilman Gwynn and Silva. Members are Councilwoman Blackwell and Councilman. And can we have Treasurer David Heyman here? He was supposed to be
Someone's dog's excited.
Right. Okay, so we'll move on with the Finance Committee and see if he's. So if Councilman, if Treasurer Heyman does not make it on, well, all right, go ahead with Finance and I'll find out what's going on with him. So go ahead.
Okay, can we have a reading of the resolution 31? I'm sorry.
Sure. Would you like me to move it, Councilor Gwynn? I'll start to read it. That's fine. Okay. And we're dealing with Resolution 2820 related to the JAG grant, correct?
Correct.
Yep. Okay. Resolution of Upper Darby Council to enter into an intermunicipal cooperation agreement between the County of Delaware, the City of Chester, and the Borough of Darby regarding 2020 Burn Justice Assistant Grant Program Award, repealing all inconsistent resolutions or parts thereof, providing a severability clause and providing an effective date. Whereas this agreement is made and entered into between the County of Delaware, acting by and through its governing body, the Delaware County Council, the City of Chester, Borough of Darby, and the Township of Upper Darby, acting by and through their respective governing bodies. Whereas this agreement is made under the authority of the Home Rule Charter of Upper Darby, the Home Rule Charter of Upper Darby Township, the Pennsylvania Third Class City Code, the Pennsylvania First Class Township Code, and the Pennsylvania Borough Code. Whereas each governing body in performing governmental functions or in paying for the performance of governmental functions hereunder shall make the performance of the payments from current revenues legally available to that party. Whereas each governing body finds that the performance of this agreement is in the best interest of each party, that the undertaking will benefit the public, and the division of costs fairly compensates the performing party for the services or functions under this agreement. Whereas the county agrees to be a recipient of funding of the amount of $100,917 from the Department of Justice for this grant, the county, the township, and the municipalities believe it's in their best interest to reallocate the grant funding as follows. City of Chester, $46,806. Darby Borough, $17,646. Upper Darby Township, $36,465. The county is ineligible for direct JAG funding in fiscal year 2020 for JAG purposes. The county remains a partner for the municipalities receiving the JAG funding and must be a signatory on the MOU. Now, therefore, it's resolved that Upper Darby Township Council, the following shall govern the intermunicipal cooperation agreement. The county agrees to pay each municipality the amount of the JAG funds. Each municipality agrees to use the JAG funds allocated to it for the program in accordance with all federal, state, and local laws as described in the JAG application. And Section 3, nothing in the performance of this agreement shall impose in any liability for claims against the county or any municipality other than claims for which liability may be imposed by the Tort Claims Act. Each party of this agreement will be responsible for its own actions. The parties to this agreement do not intend for any third party to obtain any right by virtue of this agreement. By entering into this agreement, the parties do not intend any obligations, express or implied. There's a repealer clause, severability clause, and it shall be adopted and resolved this day in council chambers, 19th day of August, 2020.
Thank you. Okay, so, so go ahead, read it.
I'd like to move this resolution.
I'd
like to second it.
Wait, guys. This is a committee meeting, so we have to discuss the resolution first. We have to have a little discussion, see if everyone's cool with it before we move it forward to, and this is not being voted on this evening. This is being discussed at the committee meeting for it to be moved on the 19th of August. Okay? So are there any questions or concerns on the resolution that was just read by council members? Councilman Silva. Go ahead.
Yes, sure. So it looks like we'll be receiving, do we know what the funds, do we have a plan for what the funds will be used for?
Yeah, so in the past, the JAG grant has been used to help with the mountain bike unit and the foot beat down at 69th Street. And so those are two likely items again for next year. And we're also looking for ways to possibly incorporate the body cam or dash cam program. So that's another possibility. But in the past, the mountain bike unit and the 69th Street foot beat have been beneficiaries of the JAG grant.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions or concerns on that resolution? All right, now you can say what you were saying, Bob, Councilman Gwynn.
Okay, I'd like to move this resolution.
Okay.
I'd like to second it.
The August meeting.
We don't have to second it because we're not voting on it tonight. So resolution 2820 is being moved to the
August 19th meeting.
August 19th agenda.
Laura,
Yes.
sorry, Council President Wentz. Sorry
Yes.
about that.
That's all right. I make that mistake all the time.
This grant, the application, we do need to do it by the 19th. I mean, I don't know if council can take action, but I did want to note the deadline. Yeah, let me see.
I was under the understanding it was after the 19th. As it's due
So I believe the deadline, right, is the 19th, and that would be the date of the meeting.
So you need it during the day, so we do have to vote on it, is what you're saying. So that we can get the grant.
Sorry about that.
Okay. Okay. That's okay. Well, we had a reading of it, and Councilman Glenn.
Okay, I would like to move this resolution for passage. I did have some minor typo things, but we can correct those later. Just in clarifying, just capitalizations and things of that nature. Stays the same otherwise.
So moved by Councilman Gwynn and seconded by Councilman Tunis, because he's tried to second it twice already. So I'm just, throwing them in. Councilman Silva, do you still have your hand up, or is that from previously? Just wanted to.
No, I just have one other question. Is there any, is this a reimbursement, or is this just a grant? I was just wondering if there was any I guess like a buy-in or something?
No, I believe it's straight grant funding.
Okay, all right, thank you. That was my question.
Sure.
Okay. Any more? Seeing none. All those in favor of passing resolution 2820, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Mic's on. Opposed? Say your name. Hearing none. Abstains? Okay, ayes have it. It looked like an all. Okay. So moving on, do you want to continue Treasurer Hayman is probably attempting to get on, but you still have the report of your committee itself. So do you want to give your committee report?
Or what? That is all that there is on this committee.
But this is when you ask your committee, the members of your committee, if they have anything to report,
Sorry,
and then
You're
council
correct.
and administration.
forgive me.
That's okay.
Anybody from committee have anything to bring forward to this body? Anybody from council would like to bring forward anything to this body? Seeing none, hearing none, moving on.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, Treasurer Hayman is probably having some difficulty getting on. So I'll just say that we're postponing his reports to the third Wednesday of the month because the needs for the finance department to get all the necessary forms together for him to be able to give us a report for the first Wednesday of the month is too tight from the close of the end of the month to whenever our committee meeting lands. So as a result, we're gonna move his report to the third Wednesday of the month so that the finance department of the township has plenty of time to get the documents and set up for him to be able to create a report for us. Okay, does that work for you guys? All right. Hearing no arguments, then we can move on. So next up is Law, Government, and Rules and Procedures Committee, co-chairs Councilwoman Billups and Councilman Silva, members Councilwoman Blackwell and Councilman Siddiq. Go ahead, whichever one of you wants to take over. Go for it.
Thank you, Council President Wentz. Well, we have a ordinance. Councilor Kilkenny, would you like to?
Sure, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
And just so council understands, if council does want to move forward with its ordinance at the end of this, so they're obviously not adopting the ordinance this evening. They're making a motion to advertise the ordinance.
Yes.
So I am going to summarize. I'm not going to go into all the whereas clauses. I'm sorry?
Solicitor, I'm sorry. I also want to clarify that this is not the first reading of this ordinance, that this is specifically for discussion by council in committee mode. And then if it passes out of committee, then we will have the official first reading with whatever changes or adjustments was made via council and comments from our public. And then it will be reread as its first official reading before it's moved to advertise. So I just, since this is different from what we've done in the past, I just wanted to clarify for everyone what we're doing. Is that cool?
Oh, so there will be no motion to, even though you could, there's no motion to advertise this evening. That's what you're saying.
There is a motion to advertise, but the motion to advertise will be after the official first reading as it would normally be. But when you read it right now, you're reading it for the first time in committee mode for the discussion of council to discuss the ordinance like we would in committee. The committee part of the discussion.
I mean, that's your purview. That's your purview. No, that's your purview, Council President. It was my understanding we changed this so there could be a first reading and a motion to advertise, then a hearing and
Yes.
adoption of an ordinance at the second
Yes.
meeting. So
Yes,
just-
yes.
yeah,
No,
okay.
we're doing that, Sean. We are doing that. It's just the
Okay.
the reading you're doing right now is, I see you, John. The reading that you're doing right now is so that council can have the conversation, the committee side of the conversation on the ordinance and make any changes that anyone needs to make before we do the official first reading with the motion to advertise.
Okay, I will go ahead and summarize the ordinance. Legislative findings and intent.
Councilman Burnett,
The purpose
I'll
and-
get you after he does it, okay? Go ahead, Solicitor
The
Kilkenny.
purpose and intent of this chapter is to promote the general safety and welfare of the public by establishing a mechanism to process the minor nonviolent offenses of personal possession or personal use of small amounts of marijuana and personal possession of marijuana paraphernalia within the limits of Upper Darby Township, and is not to promote or condone the possession or use of marijuana or marijuana paraphernalia. There's a definition of marijuana as defined by state law. There is a definition of marijuana paraphernalia, which is also defined by state law, but I'll read it. Any device, instrument, apparatus, or object used, intended to be used or designed to be used for introducing marijuana into the human body for storing, containing, concealing, or transporting marijuana. There's a definition of personal possession, actual physical custody of or the ability to exercise control over or have access to for the sole purpose of one's own personal use. Term personal possession does not include possession with intent to deliver, distribute, or sell. Personal use, introducing marijuana into one's own body, which includes smoking, inhaling, exhaling, vaporizing, or burning any lighted cigar, cigarette pipe, or other device that contains marijuana or marijuana extract. Small amount is 30 grams or less of marijuana, or 8 grams or less of hashish, as defined by the Pennsylvania Controlled Substance Act. Section 3, personal possession or personal use of small amounts of marijuana. A, so long as marijuana shall be listed as a controlled substance, no person shall be in possession of a small amount of marijuana as defined in the Act. B, the following shall be violations of this section of this ordinance. 1, personal possession of a small amount of marijuana. 2, personal use of a small marijuana. C, any person who is found in violation of the substance of the chapter shall be issued a non-traffic summary citation by the police or otherwise authorized law enforcement officer. Alternatively, the officer can obtain the subject's name and address and later send a citation by first-class mail in accordance with the Pennsylvania Rules of Criminal Procedure. Any police officer or authorized law enforcement official who observes a violation of this section of this article by a person under 18 years of age, 1, temporarily detain the minor, shall temporarily detain the minor and follow all existing procedures for the handling of summary offenses. 2, advise the parent or guardian that the minor was found in personal possession of a small amount of marijuana. 3, issue a copy of the citation to the parent or guardian advising that he or she is responsible for the payment. 4, provide the parent or guardian with contact information for local agency where substance abuse, educational, and treatment programs are available. Section 4, personal possession of marijuana paraphernalia. So long as drug paraphernalia includes objects used in connection with marijuana, possession and use of the Controlled Substances Act. No person shall be in possession of marijuana paraphernalia. B, shall be a violation of this section of this chapter for a person to be in personal possession of marijuana paraphernalia. Any person who is found to be in violation of this article shall be issued a non-traffic summary citation by a police officer or authorized law enforcement officer. Any law enforcement officer who resides a violation of this section by a person under 18 would follow the same procedures as I just stated for use. Penalties. The penalty for first and second violation of section 3 of this ordinance relating to the possession of a small amount of marijuana shall be $75. The penalty for a third violation of section 3 of this ordinance relating to possession of a small amount of marijuana shall be $75. Possession of first violation of section 3 of this ordinance relating to personal use of marijuana shall be $75. The penalty for second violation of section 3 of this ordinance relating to personal use of marijuana shall be $75. The penalty for third violation of section 3, also $75. The penalty for first and second violation of section 4 of this ordinance for personal possession of paraphernalia shall be $75. The penalty for the third violation of 4 this ordinance relating to personal possession of marijuana paraphernalia shall be $75. H, the court may in its discretion suspend the fine imposed under this ordinance if the person found guilty agrees to and does in fact perform community service as the court deems appropriate. Enforcement. 6, a non-traffic summary citation shall be issued under this chapter, shall be enforced in accordance with the procedures established by the Upper Darby Police Department. B, the police department or his designee shall report to Township Council regarding implementation of this article on an annual basis for the first 3 years following its adoption. C, the article shall not be construed to supersede any existing Pennsylvania or federal law. There's a severability clause, there's a repealer clause, there's an effective date. Thank you very much. That's my summary of the ordinance.
Thank you. Councilwoman Phillips, there you go.
Thank you. So,
So I have hands for Councilman Tunis and Councilwoman Faralia. And Councilman Wagner. And I'm guessing, and Councilman Barnett. I'm just listing all the hands I'm seeing. Councilman Burke, Councilman Gwynn, okay, those are the hands I see so far. Okay, so Councilman Tunis.
Thanks, President Wentz, and thanks, Mr. Kilkenny, for reading the ordinance. I believe what's before us today that the long government has presented before us is decriminalization. I need residents to really focus on what I'm saying right now. It's decriminalization of personal possession of small amounts of marijuana, personal use of small amount of marijuana, and small amount of marijuana paraphernalia. Why? Why is this needed? Many Black and brown people within this township have been affected by this at extremely high rate. What we're trying to do now is take it from a misdemeanor to a summary offense. Currently, it's a misdemeanor where people are spending their time in jail, they're losing time from work for a non-violent crime. But I'm also aware that this is Upper Darby. And this doesn't just affect the Black and brown people in our community. This is affecting young people across our township, young people in the St. Charles section of Upper Darby, and the Garriford section of Upper Darby, and Kirkland, the Highland Park, from Westbrook Park to Stonehurst. There's someone that has dealt with this. I also noticed myself and a lot of my colleagues support our police department. We really take a lot of pride into that as an entire council. And as legislators, we have to keep in mind that our police are only enforcing laws that we on a township level enact, and on the county, state, and federal level, which the federal, state, and county legislators enact, that our police are simply enforcing. I believe we're putting our police in a position to disconnect from the community. We're putting them in a position where they have to arrest someone for small amounts of marijuana. Let's say they're on 100 Gary Road, Township building. They have to arrest someone there, but that person can drive 3 minutes up Market there in Philadelphia, and it's a citation, it's decriminalized. So we're putting our cops in a position where there's more vulnerable areas in our township than someone smoking a joint. I think that we need to put our police in positions to improve our community policing. And I feel like this is one area that we do that. Also, this ordinance, the way it's read now, prepares us for the national opinion on marijuana is changing. Anybody that thinks that's not true has a strong disconnect with the current state of America. The passing this, if let's just say Pennsylvania wants to pass recreational marijuana, or the federal government wants to pass recreational marijuana, we already have things in place for smoking publicly, for marijuana paraphernalia. So if that is happening, our government will already be prepared. I believe that's the best way to govern from a proactive and not being reactive. And I meant officers. I apologize. I didn't mean to say cops. I meant to use the word officers. And I think that this gives people an opportunity. It doesn't limit them. Someone having a misdemeanor on their record limits them from preventing. A lot of young people have been limited. A lot of older people have lost jobs, have lost positions because of getting charged with a misdemeanor. So this ordinance is not legalization, it's decriminalization. It's decriminalization. And I want to warn residents that following this, if it's brought forward for April, people are going to try to tell you that this is legalization. And that is not what it is. People are going to try to say, what if this happens? What if that happens? I mean, if ifs were fifths, we will all be highly intoxicated. I think that we have to be able to govern. And I love the fact that this has a 3-year study. We're studying it for 3 years. So we're going to get an annual report. And if you really take your time and keenly look at it, it covers a lot of things we just don't have in place regarding this. And someone shouldn't have their future ruined for marijuana. I think they should still be penalized. I just don't think they should have their future ruined. And for that reason, I'm in favor of this.
Thank you. Councilwoman Faralia?
So I wanted to know, has the police department, Superintendent Bernhardt, has he weighed in on this at all? Has anybody talked to him about it or got his opinion?
So Vince will take over. I also want to comment that at the police academy that council took part in, this was actually one of the questions that council members had asked. And Superintendent Bernhardt was teaching that part of the class. And he had indicated part in our class was that he supported the decriminalization of marijuana, for small amounts of marijuana, that a lot of time is wasted on enforcing something that really kind of ruins people's chances of a positive future. And it wastes officers' time from focusing on the bigger fish that they really need to be focusing on. But that's what I remember from the class, but I believe CAO Rongioni has some things to say on that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
so one of the very first things that we did when council brought this idea to the administration was reach out and contact the superintendent to get his input and approval. And as a matter of fact, he is on a pre-scheduled vacation this week, so he offered to be available at any future committee meetings of council, as well as the August 19th meeting to answer any questions. But he's personally named in the whereases of this ordinance, indicating his support for the concept. And it was, again, one of the very first things that we did when the idea was brought to the administration. So yes, he's been consulted and is supportive.
Anything else, Lisa?
Yeah,
Councilman
so
Faralia, sorry.
I do. Yeah, I'm not finished. So in other words, I just want to get this cleared on here. So you're smoking weed, marijuana, whatever. You get behind a vehicle and you get pulled over, but you don't get in trouble. Isn't that the same like a DUI?
No, I think you have to keenly read what this says. I'll let the solicitor or President Wentz speak on it, but I would remind our council members to keenly read this.
Councilwoman Fry, if you're impaired and you drive a car, regardless if it's any kind of drug, you would be guilty of driving under the influence.
Correct.
Yeah, so
this is just somebody walking down the street and has it on them, then they'll just get the fine, but not behind the vehicle.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
not behind the wheel of a vehicle. Once you're behind the wheel of a vehicle, it's driving under the influence.
So this is just somebody walking down the street who happens to, whatever happens, and they get searched or whatever, and they find that on them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That's it.
Or like if someone is, if there's a bunch of young people in the playground, right? Or a bunch of young people. On the
Well,
corner.
first of all, they shouldn't be smoking weed in a playground with other
I'm just
children.
well, that's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
no one's encouraging weed smoking. That's what that's in the ordinance.
No one is encouraging that. No one is encouraging that. But I'm just saying, you know, if something like that were to happen, right? And you're around, so that's the time maybe to call the police and say, you know what? It's a bunch of young people out here smoking weed. But yes, if someone is behind the car, you know, this ordinance does not pertain to that. If someone behind the car, a DUI supersedes that. You know, if someone gets behind the car and they smoking a joint or they smoking a blunt, that supersedes that. I can't stress enough that this ordinance is just small amounts of marijuana for someone that may be sitting on their porch or wherever, and it's interfering with people in the neighborhood. You know, so that's what that is, and you don't want to hold that against someone that made a stupid mistake at 13, and here it is, they're 19 and trying to get a job, and they have this misdemeanor on their record.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
That's all that is. Yeah.
Okay. Councilwoman Blackwell, I see you. I'm adding you to the bottom of the list. Councilman Wagner is next.
Thank you. I'll be brief. Frankly, I agree entirely with what Councilman Tunis was saying. I think that the use of our police resources to enforce laws against very small amounts of marijuana and very young people are just not a good use of our resources. So I find myself generally in favor of this provision. I'm just a little bit confused about at least one part of it. Section 6C says this article shall not be construed to supersede any existing Pennsylvania or federal law. Could the solicitor explain to us how does this work in conjunction with existing state law, or are we inconsistent with state law by passing this?
No, you're not inconsistent with state law, and this has been ruled on not only by me, it's been adopted by multiple municipalities, the Pennsylvania District Attorneys Association. It is just directing the Upper Darby Police to essentially decriminalize this or de-emphasize this and set up a ticketing scheme as opposed to charging people under the crimes code.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's it. I don't have anything further.
Thank you. And then we have Councilman Barnett. Go ahead.
Thank you, President Wentz. Similar to that last question by Councilman Wagner, and this is to Solicitor Kilkennedy, would you just clarify what the state law says about small amounts of marijuana and what kind of offense it is?
Your mic is muted. There you go.
I think, yes, small amounts of marijuana can be charged as a misdemeanor. Of course, there's always discretion by any law enforcement officer on how they want to treat an offense. I shouldn't say defense, offense. And here it is saying that, you know, obviously discretion is always built in, but the first step should, in Upper Darby Township and several others in the Commonwealth, should be that it should be treated as a summary non-criminal issue.
But is that truly what the law says? That we have the prerogative to do that?
No, the law allows you to do this. I would not be proposing to this if it weren't well established. I believe there was a list of other municipalities in the Commonwealth that have done this.
Right. I understand there's been many municipalities that have done this. I think it's done pretty pretty much in Philadelphia as well. So, but I just was a little confused on how we can abrogate the state law by virtue of a local law. And but I do get all the points that were made. I do. By the way, I have some pretty liberal views when it comes to enforcement of small amounts of marijuana and use, although I'm not a personal user of it. But you know, I'd be interested to see where this goes with public comment. I gather, President Wentz, this is not going to be introduced this evening. Is that correct?
It depends. No, it's in motion to
You froze.
meeting. If the committee agrees to move it forward, then it will move forward for its first reading. If council, and we did have a comment in our public comment about this ordinance from resident Andrew Heyman had commented on it. It was actually the first public comment and his support of passing such an ordinance because it was already passed in Fallcroft, and he is the borough manager for Fallcroft. So this is if the committee moves it forward, then it will be, if any changes have been made, then it'll have its first reading with any adjustments that were made during the committee side, which is where we are right now. And then it'll have its first reading with a motion to advertise.
Right. So if I understand correctly, regardless of the fact that the Pennsylvania state law considers this a misdemeanor for the possession of a small amount of marijuana, that police officers have a distinct opportunity to use their discretion in terms of whether it's a summary?
It's not preempted for all, it's clear, it's not preempted for a local municipality to set up a ticketing scheme as opposed to directing police officers to treat it as a misdemeanor. It's established.
Right. And it was said that Superintendent Bernhardt supports this. Has he discussed this among the rank and file of the police department to solicit opinions as to what the street police officers, how they feel about the enforcement of this, the way it's being proposed, as far as a summary offense and a ticketing process?
Yeah, I don't want to sort of presume to speak about that, but again, the superintendent will be available at the meeting on the 19th to answer any of those questions. I mean, I just am not sure, so I don't want to say one way or the other.
Right, thank you, Vince. Therefore, you know, based on knowing that the superintendent would be available at our next meeting, I would strongly urge the council to at least wait before we introduce this to get an opinion and have the opportunity to discuss this in detail with the superintendent. And I would feel a great deal more at ease if we were to wait at least to have that opportunity. That's all my questions.
Thank you. So next up, we have Councilman Burke.
Thank you, President Wentz. On this ordinance, I've had some great discussion with Councilman Silva, Councilman Tunis over the last couple of days. Councilwoman Billups have sent me a few things last couple of days. My problem is not the decriminalization, is the fines. The fines are lower than underage drinking. Not the first time, not the second time, the third time. They're all $75. Says the parents are paying it. There's no penalty for a 13-year-old to smoke pot on the corner. The parent has to pay. Most of our fines don't get paid. Parking tickets, they don't get paid. They get a boot on it. Maybe they get paid. 3 offenses, $75. It's an illegal drug. And alcohol, you can drink at 21, but underage, I believe it's a $250 fine, an ARD. Not driving, and you don't get your license till you're 21. If you're smoking pot at 17 and 18 and you're looking for a good job, you're not getting in any unions. You're drug tested at the Steve Fiddler's Local 420, 98. Operating engineers? You know, TWU? I understand the decriminalization. I do not understand the 75 hours for first, second, and third offense. We are Upper Darby Township. We are not any other borough municipality, a tenth of what our population is.
Well,
I am against the fine, not against the decriminalization, but the fines do not hold the parent or the child or the 17-year-old kid accountable. That's my feelings. That's why people voted me. I have a voice, and that's all I want to say. I've had some great conversation with other council people. Michelle, you sent me stuff today. We cannot do what Virginia did. That's a higher level. We're not going to be Upper Darby Township saying it's a $25 fine in Virginia. That is for Wolf. That is for our state representatives to do. I agree with you, decriminalization, but the fine I am completely against because they don't get paid. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Burke. So let me say.
Wait, you have to unmute yourself. There you go.
Let me say this as a mother, and my son is probably going to kill me. As a mother of a son that smoked weed growing up, right? I'm being transparent here. I'm just going to say about my son. My son often got in trouble when in high school when he smoked weed a lot, right? And that made me sad. So I wish I did have this. And knowing that I had to run up to the high school in Philadelphia a lot because of failing grades and not being able to do things that I know that he was capable of, right? So I wish I did had some other how can I say this? Disciplinary things in place, right? So I think $75 is a lot. $75 is a deterrent because you just like that. You know how when a kid go to school and they get that bad report card and they say, take that home to your mother to sign, right? And their parent had to sign that. How many times that kid had to bring that report card home and that parent says, you know, I'm tired of seeing this bad report card. You know, I don't want to keep, as a parent, I don't want to keep getting a $75 ticket that I have to pay out of my pocket. You know, $75, it goes to $150. $150 goes to a higher amount. So every day, or I don't want to say every day, but each time that money does add up, Councilman Burke. You know, so I'm getting a ticket home for $75 plus. I have to pay that. And if I have more than one child, that adds up. So it is a deterrent. $75 is a deterrent for a 13-year-old kid and a 20-year-old mom that may not have $75. And every day I'm getting a ticket in the mail. I think that is a deterrent for a kid to stop smoking or want to stop smoking. Because that's a pair of kicks that he's not going to get. Or that's a video game that he's not going to get. So that's just my opinion.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next up, we have Councilman Gwynn.
Hi. Yeah, I'm clear. I had a similar question relative to why we chose the $75 and applied it consistently throughout. I wasn't sure if it was too high or too low, or whether we should, for multiple things, charge things. And with regards to payment, if they don't pay it within a stated time, maybe there should be an increase for late payments. I also feel that though we have the enforcement identified in here, we should spell it out that this is, if it's done on a moving vehicle, you will be cited under that law and what that penalty might be.
I don't think you guys are reading the ordinance. You guys need to read the ordinance.
That's not what this is. That's not.
Yeah, well,
what
you guys need to
this is.
read the ordinance, please,
You
keenly.
did not read the ordinance. This is a decriminalization of small amount of marijuana. This is not a DUI. This is not a DUI. It's not.
I understand.
No, you don't understand. You don't.
Okay.
Just to reiterate, as the solicitor said, driving under the influence is still driving under the influence regardless.
And all I'm saying is just make sure it's stated there so that there isn't going to be confusion. We know it.
I do agree with Brian that if the underage kid gets caught drinking, their fine is a lot higher than this. So I think it should go hand in hand.
Well, I just think that alcohol is something that's legal. We're talking about decriminalization. That needs to be something that's understood here. Comparing underage drinking to decriminalization is not, that's comparing apple to oranges. For example,
that
if
still
you
goes
read,
on your record when you
please,
go in front of the judge.
Please allow me to finish. If you read the ordinance, right, and it talks about, it doesn't go over various state laws. It's clear in there that it doesn't talk about DUI. It's clear that we're attempting to decriminalize a personal possession of small marijuana or personal use of small amount of marijuana or drug paraphernalia. We're not trying to have people drive under the influence. We're not trying to encourage young people to do these things. The legalization of alcohol, I don't believe, encourages young people to drink. I mean, that's up to you to make that determination, but that's legalization. We're talking about decriminalization. Those are two separate things. And I don't think they can be compared.
Can't be compared because those are two separate things. You're right, Councilman Tunis. Those are two separate things, you know. And I'm sorry if you have a 13-year-old that drinks and drives. Sorry about that. But
I don't.
No, not you personally. I'm just saying. You know, but you know, those are two separate things. And I mean, if we wait until Superintendent Bernhardt is here on the 19th, you know, so you guys can feel more comfortable with him supporting this. I'm okay with that. You know, I think this is something that we need in Upper Darby because our police have better things to do. I mean, you all agree with that we need to have our resources on other things to do. Our police resources doing other things. You all agree with that. So, and I get it. You know, we want to wait until Police Superintendent Bernhardt is here, so he can answer any other questions that you may have so he can answer questions that you may have with the rank and file, and I get that. So I'm okay with that.
But it doesn't mean that in theory that the ordinance can't still move forward if it has the support of the majority of council to do so, and still get questions answered by the superintendent. Many of us there at the police academy training when he spoke about how he support. There were other officers in the room who agreed that they support in the decriminalization of small amounts of marijuana. So for those of us that were present at that training, we all witnessed him saying that. So I understand that not everyone was there, and so forth. And I understand, yes, I did try to work it out for him to be here. I did realize that he was on vacation when we first started presenting this ordinance, but I do think that if we have enough count, you know, if the committee supports it, so I just want to put that out there that he can answer questions and it could move forward. But we do have Councilwoman Blackwell waiting patiently to speak on this ordinance. So Councilwoman Blackwell, would you like to turn your mic on?
Okay, we can just proceed. All of my questions have been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. And then Councilman Silva, you have your hand up as well. Did you go ahead?
Yeah, I do. You know, a lot of discussion here is geared towards the youth. It's actually, it's not been my experience that it's only young people that use marijuana, and I think it's something that, you know, this isn't like an underage marijuana ordinance. This is a decriminalization ordinance. I know a lot of seniors that use it for a variety of reasons, and I generally think that they're like good reasons. I think that ultimately at some point the state and the federal government will catch up, that, you know, that this is I mean, I'm not a user myself. I don't want to come off that way, but at the same time too, I can certainly understand that people that have aches and pains or are frightened by the use of opioids, a lot of like pharmaceutical drugs sometimes that are stronger. And I don't want us to get caught up in that, you know, that 13-year-old or what have you, that, you know, that we all seem to be envisioning on this bill. This is something that I think does, as Councilman Tuna said, does affect every area of this township, to my knowledge anyway. And I hope it's something that, and it is generally like a victimless crime. I do feel like this is, you know, and I would, like Councilman Blackwell said, I would really like to see us move forward.
Okay, and quite frankly, I just want to point out that when Superintendent Bernhardt returns from vacation, he can help to answer some of these questions with council. We can pose the questions to him that came up during this meeting and have him send an email out to council with his answers to the questions. So that is something that we can do prior to the, you know, the next meeting, as well as having him present to help further answer questions. So just wanted to put that out there for the concerns of the council members that have brought it up. Okay.
Yep, thank you.
Okay, so Councilman Gwynn.
Just want a quick comment. I do have a few issues, typographical things. We'll do that after. It isn't really necessary to hold up the meeting for that. You can decide later.
So the question to the solicitor, can typographical changes be made after the first reading of the ordinance?
Yeah, they obviously can, so long as it's not a major change. If it deals with capitalization or punctuation, you're fine. The law is settled with that. If it's a major change of a definition or something like that, then that. And I know Council President Wentz had asked me about some of the definitions. Those definitions are taken verbatim from the Pennsylvania Crimes Code, just so someone understands for consistency.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so since Councilman Silva and Councilwoman Billups are the co-chairs of the Law and Government Committee, do you all wish to move this forward? Oh, and Councilman Siddiq, you did not weigh in, and you're a member of that committee. I just wanted to make sure your voice was heard if you wanted to weigh in. I'm sorry, I asked the question and then I reverted back. So Councilman Siddiq, there you go.
No, I did not.
You did not want to weigh in?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't ignoring you or something. Okay. So Councilwoman Billups and Councilman Silva, did you wish to move this ordinance forward?
Yes.
Committee. What?
Yes.
Councilman Silva?
Oh, yes. Yeah, I do as well. I'm sorry.
Okay, okay. So since the committee wishes to move this ordinance forward, did you all want to make any changes to the ordinance before we had the first reading? There were some suggestions made. I just wanted to verify with the committee to make sure you wanted to move it forward as written, or if you wanted to make changes.
Well, some of we can't make changes to the language because it came from the state law. Is that correct, Council?
As far as I have to know what changes they are, but the definitions came exactly from the Pennsylvania Crimes Code, cut and pasted.
Right.
Which was basically the recommendation by the Municipal League, Township Association, and Borough Code. If you're going to do one of these, this is the model ordinance. So,
right.
Yeah.
So some of those definitions we can't change.
How about the
fines?
fines?
But I think you're taking quite a risk and essentially rewriting the crimes code.
So in all the other areas, it's a $75 fine for each offense?
No, the fines are different in other places. I was just talking about the definitions.
But I mean, like the characterization of the fines is typically they're not
It's too
usually
loud.
high. Or that's the $75 is close to the ballpark of what the fines are.
The fines are really all over the place in different places in the Commonwealth, I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they should be up. And same thing if
Also-
you're drinking underage. Should be
Also
go
think-
hand in hand.
I also think that something that we're forgetting is there's going to be a study annually given to us on this. So what areas that may be vulnerable of this ordinance, our law enforcement will be reporting their experience with this. So I know we all want to put legislation and envision it perfectly, but I think that's just not realistic. And we also need to remember people's lives are being ruined. Okay, like this isn't just something that's like a lot of people's lives are being ruined. And I do understand the out of touch comments that if you indulge in marijuana, you're lazy or you can't get a job or that is true in some cases. But there are other fields people should still be allowed to work in. I don't think it should limit that. And I kind of wish that we pay attention to how it's affecting the people in our township opposed to the fine. But that's just my stance. I think we should move forward. If I can make a notion, I would.
Yeah.
Okay, so was that a motion to move forward?
Yeah, could we make a motion to move forward to advertise?
Okay, is there a second? Oh, well, we have to get the official first reading.
Okay.
So before, Councilwoman Billups has had her hand up, or sorry, not Billups, Blackwell, sorry.
I just have a question. I mean, regarding the fining, perhaps that can be based on income, like maybe some other places do, and we can deal with that later regarding how that's fining is a part of punishment. So perhaps we don't have to get a number or a monetary amount. We can do it based on each individual person, because that way we're not a person who can afford more, pay more, a person who can afford less, we pay less. So maybe that's a different issue, separate issue that we should have to deal with. That's it.
Councilman
Blackwell, I just want to be, you actually can't do it that way specifically, just to be clear.
Okay, thank
Yeah.
you. I just was putting it on the table.
I understand what your good suggestion, but.
Councilman Burke?
Yeah, Solicitor Kilkenny just said that fines are all over the place and throughout the state, through the Commonwealth. What's the fine in Harrisburg?
I don't know the fine in Harrisburg.
What's the
The
fine?
only reason where I came from that suggestion is about a year ago, I'm also solicitor of Norristown, and they were debating a lot about the fines. They had like a list of 10 different municipalities, and I remember it varying greatly from place to place. I don't know it off the top of my head.
What's the highest fine you've heard of?
I don't know off the top. I don't remember. I'm sorry.
Well, that information would be nice to know before moving on to the next meeting. So thank you.
Councilman Gwynn, I see you.
Yeah, I'd just like to point out, there is a section H where courts can change the fine itself to have hours of community service.
Right.
So that was also a tool in there. So having a higher fine, if it satisfies some of the other individuals, can be offset by maybe having community service.
Right. Okay, so at this point in time, the committee has moved this ordinance out of the committee. As far as the committee is concerned, did you want to make changes to the fines? Because that seems to be the biggest part of the discussion. Or were you wanted to move forward with the $75 fine? And keeping in line with what Councilman Tunis said, that this is basically a pilot program, and in 3 months or 3 years, it's going to be we're going to be getting annual reports on how this is working, and we're going to revisit this to see the 3 years how it worked, and we'll be able to make changes at that point in time if this ordinance did pass to to adjust things as needed. So I just wanted to reiterate what Councilman Tunis had said in reference to that, that it gives us opportunity to re-evaluate it. So Councilman Silva and Councilwoman Phillips, do you want to make any changes to this ordinance?
Council President, if I may, I'd like to address the fine issue. As Solicitor Kilkenny said, we can't really address the fine to the fine has to be the same for the whole township. I think one of the things about Upper Darby Township is it really varies from place to place. All across this township is extremely different from a socioeconomic standpoint. And I don't feel like, while I do understand the concerns that like a larger fine would perhaps be more of a deterrent, it would also be a much greater burden for some members of this township than the others. I think that also that we will have a chance to review this after the pilot program, but for the time being, I don't feel like that the fine structure needs changing. And I also, the non-progressive nature of the fines is another issue as well. And I think that part of that comes from the fact that these records aren't really made to be, they're to not have them be, to make them like easier to seal, to make sure that someone getting caught with possession doesn't have something that someone could look up and it be made public, that it sort of maintains that they need to have kind of a non-progressive nature. That's my understanding of offenses. So it's not like, stored. And I think that's an important provision in this too, because that's the point of decriminalization, is to try to make it so someone, who makes a mistake or what have you isn't kind of shackled to that forever. So that's my feeling on it.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Phillips, did you want to, since you two are the co-chairs of the committee?
Thank you, President Wentz. No, I agree with Matt. I agree with Matt. I said my piece. Thank you.
Okay, and I just want to tag on to what Councilman Silva said. With the coronavirus, COVID-19, the number of people that are unemployed and the lack of unemployment compensation actually being given to people. I mean, it's out there. Like I personally, I've applied since March 12th was my March 11th was my last day. I was laid off March 12th. I haven't seen a dime of unemployment compensation in 5 months. So I don't think I'm the only person in this situation. There are hundreds and thousands of people around the country in the same situation, if not the state as I am. So I agree that the $75 would be appropriate at this point in time. So I just want to put that out there. All
So
right.
maybe we should also add in there underage drinking fine. So when the kids get caught at cops or drinking, their fine should be $75 and don't lose their driver's license, even though they're not behind the wheel.
This is not, but alcohol is legal, and it's not. People are not. If they were drinking a small amount of alcohol underage, I don't believe it's a misdemeanor that prevents them from getting jobs in the future of their lives. Correct? It's not.
I don't know.
It's not a criminal offense. It's just a
a misdemeanor.
I don't, solicitor, please weigh in. Sorry,
The ordinance in front of us deals with definitions of marijuana and paraphernalia under the Crimes Code. I would suggest if we want to have a debate on lessening fines or different approaches by the police department related to underage drinking or alcohol, that'd be a separate ordinance and not included in this. I don't know all that information off the top of my head. Used to be a prosecutor, but it's been some years, so I'd have to look all that up. And I can tell you when I was a prosecutor, for 5 years, I never prosecuted underage drinking. So.
Can we call the question? Can you call the question?
Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Thank you.
So can we have the first official reading of ordinance number 3081? Solicitor, you gotta turn your mic on.
Yeah.
You gotta turn your.
Perhaps what I can suggest, Ms. Wentz, is I did do a rather thorough summary of that. I would like to incorporate that reading into this meeting right now and just see if if council was okay with that, or they would like me to supplement that.
Could you read the whereases, because there's a lot of really good information in the whereases that I don't think you didn't read all of them. You went to the real meat potatoes of the ordinance. Could you just give us the first, the up to the therefores? Because the whereases.
I'll do a reading.
The background of it. You don't have to do the whole 5 pages of it or whatever pages it is. It's just the first page.
Okay. An ordinance amending the ordinance of Upper Darby Township to establish a mechanism to process the minor nonviolent offenses of personal possession or personal use of small amounts of marijuana and personal possession of marijuana paraphernalia within the limits of the township, providing a severability clause, repealing all consistent ordinances, providing an effective date. Whereas Upper Darby Township is a home rule charter township, organized and operating in accordance with the home rule charter as permitted by the home rule charter and operational plans law. Section 201 of the charter grants the township any power and function not denied by the Constitution of Pennsylvania, the General Assembly of the Commonwealth, or this charter. Section 302 of the charter provides that the township council is exclusively vested with all legislative powers, except as otherwise provided by law or by the charter. This section also grants township council the power to make and adopt ordinances and resolutions consistent with the Constitution and laws of the Commonwealth and with this charter, and to prescribe fines and penalties for the violation thereof. Whereas the discriminatory enforcement of nonviolent drug possession has resulted in profound racial and ethnic disparities in the criminal justice system, which has led to mass incarceration. Whereas the Upper Darby police superintendent and the administration have agreed that decriminalization of marijuana will help redirect resources to prevent serious and violent crimes, in addition to improving relationships between the department and the community they serve and protect. Whereas numerous Pennsylvania municipalities, including the municipality of Norristown, city of Lancaster, the city of York, the city of Bethlehem, and the city of Harrisburg, have exercised their power and the authority by ordinance to address the processing and handling of minor non-violent offenses for the personal possession or personal use of small amounts of marijuana and the personal possession of marijuana paraphernalia within the limits. Whereas in accordance with the powers and duties vested in Township Council under the Charter and Pennsylvania law, including those inherent police powers for the enforcement and regulation of certain local offenses, Township Council now desires to enact an ordinance addressing the processing and handling of minor non-violent offenses for the personal possession or personal use of small amounts of marijuana and the personal possession of marijuana paraphernalia within the limits of Upper Darby Township that Township Council believes is for the benefit of the public health, welfare, and safety of the township. And the rest of the body of the ordinance is as I stated previously.
Thank you. I think that had a lot of information that's tied to the conversation that we were having. So thank you very much. Okay, can we get a motion to advertise ordinance number 3081? I muted live people, so turn your mics back on.
I'd like to make a motion.
Councilman Tunis and Billups. Okay. Any questions and concerns on the advertising of ordinance number 3081? Seeing none, all those in favor of advertising signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, say your name.
Don
No,
Bonnet, I'm
Ronnie.
opposed.
Lisa,
John,
I'm opposed because we need to hear from the superintendent first.
you're
I
opposed to
agree.
advertising. And Lisa, was there any other opposition to the advertising of this ordinance?
Mine on the fines, Laura. Brian on just on the fines.
Ryan, you can't separate it. It's an
Oh, well,
advertisement of the
Just saying,
ordinance.
that's all.
So are you,
I told you I'm opposed of it on the fine. That's all.
opposed.
okay, okay.
I can say what I want.
So,
I'm just
so
taking,
can I tell you what the fine is in Harrisburg?
$150.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
That's for the second offense. That's for the second offense. For the first offense is
guys. This is, you're out of order. So, the no's I have was Dawn, Lisa, and, sorry, Barnett, Faraya, and Burke were my no's. Were there anyone else that I missed?
A deterrent.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. So we are 8 for advertising and 3 again. So the motion to advertise through. Okay, thank you. Have to find my agenda. Okay, can we get a reading of resolution 29-20? Listener? You gotta unmute. Unmute. You're muted. There you are.
I got it. I'm slow. All right, 2920. Whereas the citizens of Upper Darby Township in Pennsylvania deserve a fair, full, transparent, and impartial depoliticized process of drawing of state legislature and congressional districts of near equal population. Whereas the legislature and congressional redistricting has at times resulted in gerrymandered districts that favor one political party over another, whereas such gerrymandering of legislative and congressional districts has worked at times to the detriment of our representative democracy, whereas the creation of a truly independent citizens redistricting commission devoid of motivation of partisanship will ensure a fair, transparent, and accurate legislative and congressional redistricting process that respects political subdivisions, prohibits districts from being drawn to favor or discriminate against a political party or candidate, require the use of impartial and sound methodology when setting district boundaries, requiring public input, and fully comply with the constitutional requirement that no county, city, incorporated town, borough, township, or ward be divided unless absolutely necessary. And whereas legislation to amend the Pennsylvania Constitution to reform the decennial legislative and congressional redistricting process with the intent of using fairness and sound methodology in a non-partisan fashion is required to ensure these reforms. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Upper Darby Township Council does hereby support legislative efforts to amend the Pennsylvania Constitution to assign the decennial bulk of both legislative and congressional redistricting to an independent citizens redistricting committee. Be it further resolved that we can call upon those elected officials and party leaders in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania who represent the citizens of Upper Darby to publicly announce their support and commitment to work towards passage of such legislative efforts, and such a copy of this resolution shall be delivered to them. They are Governor Wolf, Lieutenant Governor Fetterman, Attorney General Shapiro, Senator Casey, Senator Toomey, Representative Scanlon, State Senator Kearney, State Representatives Abel and Davidson, County Council President Zidek, Vice President Monica Taylor, County Councilor Madden, County Councilor Schaefer, County Councilor Ruther, and Acting Secretary of the Commonwealth, Catherine Bookvar. There's a repealer, severability, and an effective date clause.
Thank you. We're still in. Sorry, I was getting lost in my realm. Councilman Silva and Councilwoman Billups, you guys are the chairs of this committee. what, you all met and discussed it. What was the, can you give us a summary of the discussion and in reference to this resolution? There you go.
So, sorry. Thank you, Council President Wentz. So when we met, we didn't change much of it because we believe that just like its name, their districts, that it was right there in the resolution, and it would be beneficial to everyone from the, I don't want to say from the bottom up, and I think it would do Upper Darby good, especially in this time of the voting year, right? So, and it will be fair for everyone. So I think it's a good resolution, and I think it would do Upper Darby good, and especially on the state legislature. So hopefully we can come on board with all of the other municipalities that's on board with this. So
thank you. Councilman Silva.
Yeah, I agree with Councilwoman Billups on this, and I thought that they had an excellent presentation for us. And I mean, I you know, there have been times where the township has been separated between. Well, I know
Where we get an opinion from
this is
as to whether we can.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, so I know there has been times where Upper Darby Township has been separated between federal congressional districts, and would really like to never see that happen again. So yeah, I think this is good. It's more of a ceremonial thing, I think, but yeah, I look forward to it.
Great. Councilwoman Blackwell or Councilman Siddiq, do you want to weigh in on, since you were part of the committee that discussed this resolution? Would you like to weigh in? Siddiq, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm agree to it, Councilwoman Michelle Billip and Matt Silva.
Great, thank you. Councilwoman Blackwell?
I concur, thank you.
Okay, are there any questions or concerns on this resolution from the rest of the council? Okay, seeing none. Does the committee wish for this resolution to move to the August 19th meeting for a vote on August 19th?
Yes.
I do, yes.
Okay.
Danielle and Councilwoman Danielle and
yes, agreed.
Yes, I'm agreed.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Thank you. And then and then was there any report you wanted to give officially from the committee itself?
Does anyone have anything else to report? Committee members?
Give a hey or nay, yes or no. You guys are frozen in time. You gotta say, no, I have nothing.
No, I don't have nothing.
No.
Move forward.
No, we do not have anything.
No.
Move forward. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, I agree. Move forward. Thank you.
Any council?
Anybody from council have anything? No? That concludes our report.
Great.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you. All right, so next up we have Planning, Zoning, and Building Code Committee. Co-chairs are Councilman Gwynn and Councilwoman Billups. Members are Councilman Tunis Jr. and Councilman Barnett. We do have a resolution 30-20. So can we get a reading of resolution 30-20? And Sean, you need to turn on your mic.
Yep. Okay. Let's see, 30-20, let's see.
It's the funky looking one.
Yeah, the very strange one given by the state. Hold on, I saw that earlier. I think I got it.
I'm sorry, I'm having cat issues, sorry. They want to sit on the paperwork.
Okay, here it goes. I apologize. 30-20, got it. Okay, resolution for plan revision for new land development, resolution of the council members of Upper Darby Township. Again, this is a odd resolution, as you stated, Council President, kind of a form resolution from DEP and moving forward to this, whereas Act 5 of January 24th, 1966, known as the Pennsylvania Sewage Facilities Act, as amended by the rules and regulations of the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection adopted thereunder, Chapter 71 of Title 25 of the Pennsylvania Code, required the municipality to adopt an official sewage facilities plan provided for sewage services adequate to prevent contamination of waters of the Commonwealth and/or environmental health hazards from sewage waste, and to revise said plan whenever it is necessary to determine whether a proposed method of sewage disposal for new land development conforms to a comprehensive program of pollution control and water quality management. Whereas Drexel Line Plaza LP has proposed the development of a parcel of land as defined by a developer known as the Drexel Line Shopping Center and described in the attached sewage facilities planning module, which proposes that each subdivision shall be served by tap-in sewer extensions, new treatment facility, individual on-wet systems, community on-wet systems, spray irrigation, chaining tanks. Whereas Upper Darby Township finds that a subdivision plan described in the attached documents, in the attached sewage facility planning module conforms to applicable sewage-related zoning and other sewage-related municipal ordinances. Now, therefore, be it resolved by Upper Darby Council that Upper Darby hereby adopts and submits to DEP for its approval as a revision to the official sewage facility plans of the municipality, the above referenced sewage facility as established by the Secretary of Upper Darby.
Off the volume. Oh, man.
That concludes my reading.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, my cat turned off the volume of my computer, so I missed something. Okay, thank you. Councilman Barnett, I see, I'm gonna just get a list of people and try and kick the cats off the table so that I can continue. So resolution, sorry, 30-20. We have questions from Barnett. Was there anyone else that had their hands up? Burke and Gwynn. Okay, so we'll, yes, go ahead. Councilman Gwynn.
Okay. The only thing that they checked off on the listing was the sewer tap-ins. So that's, as far as I can see, all that we're looking to address at this point for it. Don, do you have any questions? Would you? Your mic is muted.
Yes, I go through and mute everyone who's not muted when the solicitor's talking so that we don't have problems. And I'm gonna disappear because my cat's knocked everything off the table. So go ahead, Councilman Barnett.
Okay, thank you. I actually urge council to approve this. The project cannot move ahead without DEP approval. This is pretty routine. What we're asking, and again, it's routine, it's asking for this project to be assigned sewerage capacity. In other words, that the DEP will determine that there is sufficient capacity in our system and also the treatment facilities to which the effluent will go to and confirm that this project can move ahead. As I said, it can't move ahead without approval from DEP under these provisions. One repercussion could be, and it has happened on other development projects, where DEP could require us to do what is called inflow and infiltration mitigation, in that our storm system, our sanitary sewage system, that's what this deals with, is old. It may have many areas where stormwater can infiltrate it through breakage in the system, through manholes, etc. And there may be a requirement to institute the mitigation. And that may mean literally putting new manholes in or new manhole covers, and could go to an extreme of actually replacing some of the sewage lines, although that would be somewhat rare. But in any event, these should be considered developmental expenses to the developer, any of that.
Okay.
So I would encourage approval of this resolution.
I see Mayor has a comment she wishes to make relative to that.
Councilman Burnett, I have just a quick follow-up question to what you were just saying. Where infrastructure work needed to be done on the sewers, we can bill the developer for that, right? That's
Well,
not.
I would suggest that should be certainly the approach to be taken because it's for their project. Now, I think we need to give consideration to the benefits this project brings to the community and to the township at large.
Okay, yeah.
And in the process of doing that.
Okay, thanks.
Michelle, do you have any questions or comments? Hafiz? Do you have any questions or comments?
Councilman Burke did raise his hand.
I missed that. Councilman
Okay.
Burke?
Thank
Please.
you, Councilman Quinn. Is this the development where, including the strip mall going up towards, across from the Speedway, or where the police station is that included, that property too? Or is that two separate parcels there, owned by two different people?
It doesn't identify parcels in this list. It just says Drexel Line Shopping Center.
Right.
If I may add, I believe it's one land development application. Am I correct in that?
Yes.
Yeah, so I would assume it's for the entire parcel, the entire project, I should say.
Okay.
Anybody on council with any questions? No one on committee had any further? So moving on. I wish to advance this to the August. Oh, it's to be adopted tonight. Forgive me.
Right.
So I'd like to move this motion to be approved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Sorry, hold on. You're stealing my job there. So moved by Barnett, or seconded by Barnett. Who moved it?
I did.
So you can't move it and also run the call of the vote. Moved by.
All right, I'll move approval.
I second it then.
Okay, and Gwynn has seconded. Okay, just want to make sure we have it. Okay, so all those in favor of resolution 30-20, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say your name.
Aye.
Okay, no one opposed. So so it was passed unanimously. Great, thank you. Sorry, I'm trying to. Great. Actually, yes. Okay. Yes. Great. So, would you like to continue with your report of the zoning committee?
I believe that I asked anybody on council if they had anything, no one did. So I believe that concludes the report.
What about, I thought you were speaking specifically to the resolution versus anything else to bring to the committee. Because we just now passed that resolution. I just want to make sure you didn't have anything else. Okay, great. All right, so moving on. Public Safety Committee, co-chairs Councilman Burke and Councilwoman Blackwell, Council members Silva and Tunis Jr. Take it away.
Yep. Does anybody from the committee have anything to bring forward tonight?
Don't.
Does anybody from council have anything to bring forward tonight?
Councilman Wagner has his hand up, and Councilwoman Blackwell, and Councilman Bonnet.
No, not me.
Oh, no, okay, so Wagner and Blackwell.
Okay,
So
I would ask the Public Safety Committee to undertake an independent review of the status of our police department at this time. We talked earlier about the canine units. That was answered by the mayor and the chief administrative officer. That was one issue as far as I'm concerned. The status of the SWAT vehicle is another. Unfilled positions is a very serious issue as far as I'm concerned. That was brought to our attention by the FOP in correspondence months ago. That was the subject of the lawsuit that we talked about at our last meeting. I'd like to know where we are with that and whether those positions are being filled, and if not, why not? The repair of police cars and other equipment with the police and so on. I think it's appropriate for the Public Safety Committee to take a good, hard look at what is going on with our police department right now, ask questions, have the superintendent into a meeting with you. And then if you find issues, bring them back for all council to discuss.
Thank you, Councilman Wagner. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Also, I just wanted to make a note that there was a first dialogue for diversity at the Delaware County Community College Center for Equity and Social Justice. It was very provocative, a lot of information, a lot of key members in our community. And I just want to say that just to support education and what's going on in our community. I attended that event, just to let the council know.
Thank you. I did have something, or I just wanted to officially ask the Public Safety Committee to look into Mr. Clark and Ms. Thomas's question about the hobby vehicle ordinance. If you guys can do some research, they've given us a really good outline of what they were looking for. If we can have a council, a committee meeting to discuss it and to discuss with solicitor on if other municipalities have done similar ordinances and so forth, so that we can.
Mr. Clark resides in what district?
What?
Mr. Clark resides in what district?
Yes, they are residents that comment at every council meeting.
What district do they reside in, please?
The 7th district.
Oh, okay.
I believe it's the 7th, yeah.
So, but there's, so I'd like for the Public Safety Committee to take this suggestion of an ordinance to start the conversation. Is that okay, Council? The chairs of.
That sounds great, Council President. Before I conclude my report, on the same words from the CAO, the mayor, and everybody else, I would like to thank all of our Upper Darby Township employees for yesterday, from the time they started to the time they finished, early in the morning till the end of the night, whenever they finished. I'd like to thank Mr. Bill Gall, our emergency management coordinator, for the work that he has done for so many years. Obviously, he'll be leaving us pretty soon. I'd like to thank him personally. He's a friend of mine.
Thank you.
And I also would like to thank over the 80 or 90 firefighters that we had out on the street, the fire department, the volunteers, all the houses. I know they were running crazy yesterday. Thank God everybody got home safe. Really appreciate everybody from the township. I know you guys say it's just a normal day for you, but it really isn't. It was a difficult day. Administration gave everybody what they needed, and I'd like to thank everybody.
Thank you. I would agree to that, and kudos to everybody who participated and put their lives on the line yesterday and every day, frankly.
That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Municipal Services Licensing and Public Works Committee co-chairs Councilman Burke and Councilman Siddiq. Members are Councilman Tunis Jr. and Councilman Wagner.
Thank you, President Wentz. Does anybody from the committee have anything to bring forward today? Anybody from council?
Nobody has it.
Anybody from the administration? Seeing nobody has anything to bring forward, concludes the report.
Thank you, Councilman Siddiq. Are you all
Yeah.
good with concluding the report?
Yes, move forward, please.
Okay, thank you. So next up is Public Health and Environmental Affairs Committee, co-chairs Councilman Silva and Tunis Jr. And members are Councilwoman Billups and Councilman Siddiq. Please take it away.
Okay. Oh, okay. Do any members of the Public Health and Environmental Affairs Committee have anything to bring forward at this time? Do any?
No.
I do.
I saw Councilman Siddiq's hand.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Well, first of all, I would like to thanks all our first responder yesterday. What happened in Upper Darby Township, especially in my district and part of District 7, it's like an ocean. It's not a river. It's like an ocean. I was feeling to go in the water to swim it. That's the way the water was coming. So it's just so sad. And I would like to ask the township and also the appropriate department to clean up the neighboring stores, which I heard that the landlord has to clean up, but due to the emergency situation, no landlord was prepared. So this is very important. As soon as possible, we should clean up the street as well as the store in front for the public health and the environmental clean air. The still area, the whole area, 69th Street area is still muds, street and muds, and the debris and trash can all over the places. So I would like to urge our township official move forward and help our neighbor and community to clean up the mess since yesterday.
Mayor, did you want to weigh in? Or I didn't see Vince, I'm sorry. You're muted. There you go.
I'll just say real quickly that this is a discussion that we have to have in the administration as to how we help businesses do cleanups. Businesses really should be insured, right, Siddiq? Where they get, there's Bond shopping centers getting cleaned up now by whoever the insurance company plays, and we are focusing on the residential areas and the driveways now. But we'll look into it. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
We'll talk details later on. Thank you.
Okay. Also, just want to let you know, I see Councilman Barnett's hand. Councilman Barnett.
Thank you, President Wentz. Again, to Mayor Keffer and CAO Rongioni, do we yet know what the probability of state assistance, financial assistance will be to assist in the recovery?
So we don't have any firm numbers, but that's part of the reason why I issued the emergency declaration today. That's the first step. I mean, we are working with the county too. They issued one yesterday, but we're going to do our best to get what we should be getting in terms of disaster relief. So
will that apply to personal losses of residents and business owners? Do we know, at least the potential for that?
I can't,
Yeah, I think we just don't
Into
know
that
yet,
specifically.
and that's certainly the hope. That's certainly the hope, but we don't have any specific information yet that I'm aware of.
Okay, I'm sure you'll let us know when you find out.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions or concerns?
I would
Well,
like
actually,
to add something.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Sadiq.
I would like to add that last flood time, not yesterday, the previously, Governor Tom Wolf was here physically. He visited the area, and I don't know exactly how much it was, but they compensate the local businesses and helped to clean up and support to the business community. So I'm asking our officials, if it's possible, try to reach as well as state too, not only the county.
Right, that was in 2019, I think, when near the auto zone, it became a huge, the manhole covers
Yes.
got blown up because of the backlash in the pipes as well. So I mean, I think the mayor and CAO have indicated that they're going to do their best to get as much funding as they can to assist. They just don't have the answers at this time.
Sure, yeah, that's what I mean to say. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. It looked like Councilman Gwynn that you had something to ask.
You already covered.
Okay.
You already covered it. The governor was here. We did have a funding process for even private claims for reimbursements, but we accumulated all the costs of these and tried to submit them through the state because they had declared an emergency as well. So the governor has to do that as well as what we do.
Correct.
Okay, so you're saying that the governor has to declare a state of emergency in order for certain funds to be able to come our way.
Right. Okay. That's my understanding.
Okay. Okay, back to you, Councilman Silva.
Yeah, actually, I have a question myself too. There's a couple areas that seem to be particularly prone to flooding, particularly along Marshall Road, Marshall and Long, Marshall and Church, the bond shopping area, and also along the Darby Creek. I was wondering if there's any. I mean, I understand that there was a tremendous amount of rain that happened in a very short time yesterday, but is there any other underlying things that we could do to try to alleviate any of that for in the future?
I mean, just briefly, I'd say as development and redevelopment occurs, I think that our zoning hearing board and council have to be very mindful of waivers and special exceptions and variances that developers ask for, because a lot of them pertain to stormwater management, impervious services and stuff like that. So I mean, to have a real impact in some of those areas that have consistent flooding, I think you're talking about like a multi-million-dollar project through the Army Corps of Engineers or something like that. I don't know about that, but what we can do locally is really keep an eye on developers' plans and where they're trying to make cuts and shave things off of our zoning code and the county, the SALDO, the subdivision and land development ordinance. So that's.
Yeah, and that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. The more trees we have, the less flooding we have. My thought. Yeah. I see Councilman Gwynn.
Just have a quick comment similar to what Barbara Ann was saying. You also have to develop a better way of keeping trash debris from clogging up the sewers, being washed down in it. People need to take a responsibility to not use trash bags outside of cans that will blow away and be collected down in sewers and block them. I saw carpet in one of the inlets that people had just thrown out there. These things will obstruct the water from going down and cause it to bunch up elsewhere. Some things, okay, I'm sorry. I'm ready.
Okay. Councilman Silva, back to you.
Is there anyone else from committee or council that has anything for public health at this time?
Councilman Burke. Councilman
Oh,
Burke
okay.
just raised his hand. Go ahead, you gotta unmute. There you go.
Thank you. Maybe it's not, I think it's public health. I know the last couple of meetings, we've actually had updates on, you know, how all our workers are doing, firemen, police, township workers. Just want to make sure everybody's doing okay. And, you know, what's the status of all our employees? That's all. I don't know if it's this time.
Status as far as COVID-19 or
Yeah.
status, okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to clarify.
Yeah. You know, things are spiking up. That's why I'm asking. That's all.
We still are encouraging our employees to socially distance, to wear all the PPE. We give them masks and all that. The building is open. Everybody's back from furlough. And if you have specific questions about personnel, then the executive session is really where to do it. I think. I mean, Vince, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, no, that's definitely right. And the mayor's issued a couple of memos reminding people about the COVID-19 protocols and what to do if you have symptoms. And our assistant director of HR, Megan Kowaleski, has been doing an amazing job fielding a lot of questions and concerns. I think it's fair to say that the numbers have increased across the county, and that, you know, is also shows in Upper Darby. But we're doing everything we can, and the vast majority of the workforce is doing what they can to protect themselves and their coworkers, and that's what we're encouraging.
And also, I'm sorry, I just wondering, you said something about the numbers. There was a report about our numbers had increased, but it didn't talk about the percentage. And I was just curious where we were in the percentage level, since we are such a high density of residents in our township. Is our percentage increasing greatly throughout the township? Or are we still kind of in a same realm?
Yeah, I apologize. I don't actually have the percentage number, but you're correct. People do need to be careful when they're looking at the data. If they're looking at a raw number, Upper Darby Township's raw number is always likely to be higher than the surrounding municipalities. But even as a percentage, just in general, you know, there is kind of for lack of a better term, a second wave, not just in Upper Darby Township, but in Delaware County and really around the country in the high density areas. So, you know, that's something that we're dealing with.
Okay, great. Councilman Burke, I'm sorry, I think I cut you off. Was there anything else?
It just seemed like we give some kind of report on it, you know, township wide. And I was just hoping that all our employees were doing well. That's all.
Yeah. No, and for the most part, they are. I mean, I don't want to disclose any individual, you know, sort of health information, but the pandemic has impacted the township workforce in, you know, sort of similar proportion to the population at large. Yeah.
Just hoping everybody was doing fine. That's all. I wasn't looking for any information. Just
Yeah.
thumbs up.
No, and luckily we haven't experienced, you know, we haven't experienced any. Well, I don't know. I don't want to jinx us.
Don't jinx yourself. So,
Yeah.
stop there.
All I'm looking for.
Okay, so Councilwoman Blackwell did have her hand up.
I just want to mention, I meant to mention that from the Public Safety Committee, that also Councilwoman Billups had attended the dialogue as well.
Okay.
That's all. I just wanted to add that. I don't know if she wanted to weigh in on that, but I just wanted to add that she was.
technically in the wrong committee for it.
So move on.
Okay, okay. No, but thank you guys for attending. That was great. Okay. Councilman Silva?
Well, I guess unless there's any more matters for public health from anyone on council, that would conclude my report.
Great. So next up is Leisure Services Committee co-chairs Councilwoman Faralia and Councilman Silva. Members are Councilwoman Blackwell and Councilman Tunis.
Does anybody from the committee have anything to bring forward?
Yeah, I do. Parkview has received requests to be fixed or remodeled or redone. So the Parkview Recreation Playground needs some attention.
Okay, well, we did put that into the township, so from our last meeting.
All right.
Are there any updates on Parkview?
Nope.
Playground?
I haven't received anything.
I did last Thursday, but thank you. I appreciate it. That's all I have to report.
So you received a report on Parkview last week?
Councilwoman Blackwell.
Did I receive the report on Parkview last week?
Yes. You received an update on Thursday last week on Parkview.
Well, how come it didn't go to everybody? If I chair that committee, shouldn't I have got something when I put the request in?
I didn't receive a report. Is that what you're referring to? I didn't receive a report. I received, one of the constituents is asking why it hasn't been done.
Oh, no, because you just said that you received a report last Thursday.
There's a report that it wasn't done. It
Okay.
nothing has been done. So I didn't, you got me?
Got you.
Thank you.
Yep.
CEO, would you like to weigh in?
Sure. So Parkview Playground is one of the first, I don't know, 4 or 5 playgrounds that was addressed with new mulch and weeding as part of that cleanup initiative. So that part has been done, and again, was one of the first 3, 4, 5 parks to have that step taken. And I mean, that's the first step in the process. There hasn't been any new park or playground equipment purchased for any township facility thus far this year. And so Parkview is on the list to be evaluated and assessed for the quality and condition of its equipment. And we're in the process of forming a capital budget. And it's Councilwoman Blackwell did tell me that she had received these requests from constituents. And so it's absolutely on the administration's radar at the time when the capital budget gets created and when the inspections of all township equipment is completed.
Great, thank you.
Does anybody from council have anything to bring forward?
I do.
Good.
Hey, Lisa.
Hi.
Cardington Field need to be re-mulched, and some of the places is very low, need to be, the ground need to be level up. Even have little rain, water stuck. So yesterday I can see some of the place you can see only water. Well, yesterday was different, but usually some of the land is very low, need to be level. And also there's a place over there that the sands. Some of the sands is very low. It's not level up. So,
all right, so good.
I'd like to visit one day on 69th Street playground and Cardington Field when anybody has time with the committee.
That's fine. I'll get the committee together and we can go out together.
Sure, and let me know. I want to be with the part of it.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. Anybody else have anything to bring forward?
Yes, I do, Lisa. I was just curious about the status of the fencing adjacent to the James Street Park. There's well, I sent a request in a while ago. I was trying to double check the date, but I haven't heard anything about whether or not they talked to the homeowner or what they were planning to do about that fencing.
I don't know anything about it, Matt.
Okay.
Yeah, I apologize, Councilman Silva. I wasn't aware of that request, but I absolutely will look into it and get back to you. Or you sent it into requests at Upper Darby, or did you send it to me and I forgot? I'm sorry.
No, I sent it to requests at Upper Darby. I'm not sure if it went to inspections or to you, or to be honest, I got an update about it on the 20th that it was being looked into, but I still haven't really heard much about it.
Okay, yeah, no, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, so I'm happy to follow up and get you an answer for sure. And just real quick, to Councilman Siddique's point, there is a big project to repair all of the sidewalk around the Cardington field that will be undertaken very soon. And I just want to say, sort of on a personal note, I mean, the Cardington Field is really an awesome township facility, and a lot of great community activity takes place there. So it's definitely something that's on our radar in terms of supporting and enhancing the things that go on at Cardington Field. It's a really well used piece of property, and so we want to make it, even nicer for all the residents.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
All right, well, that concludes my report.
Great, thank you. So next up, we have Event Planning Committee, co-chairs Councilwoman Billups and Blackwell, council members Tunis and Silva.
Thank you, President Wentz. Does anyone from the committee have anything?
No.
I do.
Okay.
I'm not sure if out of all the committees, I think it may fall under this one. It has to do a little bit of event planning and social media. I think if the Township Council, we need to make an effort. I've seen the administration do this often, but we need to make an effort to promote the census a little bit more. As you can see, I have on census button, make Upper Darby count. And I didn't know if it's old business, new business, or if it's then the event planning committee. But I just wanted to share that.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilman Tunis.
Yeah. Anyone from council?
We have Burke and Quinn.
Yeah.
So Councilman Burke.
Thank you, Council President Wentz. Councilwoman Billups, I'm not sure. Are we issuing permits for anything? Or are we just on hold through COVID-19? I don't, event planning like throughout the town, with more than 25 people, any kind of event, whether it's church related or boys club, girls club, anything. Are we issuing permits through the township?
That's a CAO.
Yeah, I know we had talked about that, doing something virtual, but that's a mayor and CAO question.
Okay.
I know we had talked about like the international festival, doing something like that, but maybe they can answer that question.
Or night out, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're issuing very limited permits at this point with very strong COVID-19 guidance and cautions. So we're trying to be very careful about how we do that, and making sure that people are following all protocols, and of course only for outdoor events. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you,
And
Councilman
just,
Gray.
Yeah.
one other thing, as far as Councilman Tunis and the census, I could not agree more. And really, it's a huge priority for the mayor, and it will have a dramatic impact on all of the council people and all of the constituents of Upper Darby. I mean, I really would very, very strongly urge the council people to take a very active role in making sure that all their constituents fill out the census. Very, very important when it comes to funding for programs in Upper Darby.
Right, I've been sharing the different posts on our Township Council page, and then sharing it with other groups and so forth that our constituents are a part of. But I can make sure that we keep doing that. But also having all council members share it to their council pages and to their personal pages would also help to facilitate that as well. So. Okay, and then I saw Councilman Gwyn's hand and Councilwoman Blackwell. So Councilman City. So Councilman Gwyn, you gotta turn on your mic.
Sorry. Friend of mine and co-committeeman for my 5th district in Upper Darby here, the 5-1. Myron McNeely is doing a produce giveaway on this Saturday, for the 7th, from 11 a.m. at Beverly Hills Middle School. I'm sorry, is it Friday? It's the 7th.
Can you email, do you have it as an email? Can you send it to me so I see, okay, it's Larry, can you take a photo of it and send it to me so I can share it with everybody? That's not helping me. And take a photo and share it with me. I'll share it with everyone. Okay?
We'll make sure you get it.
Okay.
It is
Thank
on
you.
the 7th, starting at 11 a.m. at Beverly Hills Middle School parking lot.
Okay. Great. And then Councilwoman Blackwell?
It's free.
What Councilman Tunis had stated that, can you hear me?
Yes.
Get your census paperwork in. We need you. That's it.
Great. Councilman Siddiq?
Yeah, my slogan is regarding the census 2020, the more head counts, more money.
Exactly.
That's my slogan. More head, more money. That's people need to understand.
Very simple and to the point.
That's it. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Councilwoman Phillips, you want to continue the lead?
Anybody else have anything else? No?
No.
That concludes my report.
Thank you.
Okay, so next up is old business. Does anyone have old business for council? I'm seeing, hold on, Siddiq, and Burke. Anyone else with old business? And Feralia? Okay, go ahead, Siddiq.
This is my official statement regarding the old business that is again, thank you so much, our Honorable Mayor and COA, regarding the fruits and vegetable distributing is very important, and people so are excited and they're happy to get it. And they every week, I am the part of the distribution on 69th Street Playground. Sometimes my colleague, Michelle Billip, is with me, and Happy is with us. So it's a great job. Let's continue this one. And another old business, this is the, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Yesterday's quick and rapid response to disaster, 69th Street, Lansdowne, and what's the street, that other street, State Road area. And also, this is my official statement regarding the first responder to doing good job yesterday. We are proud of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Councilman Burke?
Yes, thanks, Council President Wentz. I received a phone call on July 24th about which I call is the Whaling Nursery or the Whaling Track from 161 Wild Avenue. I went out to visit the site, just looking for an update or, whether our engineers have gone out or anybody else has gone out. I know it was a topic that we inherited in January. Just haven't been brought it up lately, with everything else going on in Township. So do we have any update on which I call is the Whaling Nursery?
Real quick, we are in negotiations with the developer of those homes and our solicitor. So but specifics again would be, the other meeting, right? The executive session. We're working on it. We're very committed to finding a solution to this long-standing problem. But Vince, unless do you want to add to that or?
No, right. It's, that's really an executive session sort of thing. But it is an issue that we're actively trying to address and have been since the mayor took office. We've got engineers and lawyers and very active and aggressive negotiations compared to how old the problem is and how long it was sort of sitting before we got.
I was just out there and the erosion is really, really bad. Like it is far back where her deck, for the top, it is going to fall. So we really need to work on that quick. We need to pressure them or do whatever we can before the 4 houses get lost. And it's not going to be a pretty sight. I was just there, so.
Thank you. Okay. So, Councilwoman Fry, is that what you wanted to talk about?
I was going to bring that up, but then it was I just want to reiterate about, I'm going to meet with the pastor of St. Eugene's and Parish Council next week regarding the purchase of the property and to preserve the open space, to create the athletic fields for the youth athletic associations. Once I do meet with them, I'll report back to the administration on what they said.
So I'm just curious if it would be more beneficial if perhaps the mayor or city part of that meeting in some way, or is it that it's? I understand it's in the hands of the lawyer, so I don't want the council to.
Well, he reached out to me.
Council President Wentz. This should really be discussed in executive session if possible.
Okay.
She gave a report, that's fine, but let's not go into more detail here in a public session. It's exempted under real estate and executive session. I know there was a report this evening. I don't think we're ready for a full public discussion.
Okay, so can we have a little an email conversation?
Pardon me? You're breaking up.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of static. So, okay, thank you. Great. Burnett. Okay. Councilman Burnett.
Thank you, President Wentz. I'm working with Councilwoman Faralia on the St. Eugene's issue. And I do respect the fact that this is truly a executive session matter to be discussed. One thing I just want to follow up with, in that we did have this conversation earlier this evening in an executive session.
I was going to talk about that.
I just want to ask the question about the grants. We have about $539,000 of identified grants. I realize that we're not certain that they're all committed. I just like to ask the administration to look into that, report back as soon as possible on the status of those grants.
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else for old business? Okay. New business?
I'm sorry,
Anyone have-
Laura, I meant to speak, but I think I got muted or something.
Okay, go ahead, Sylvia.
Could we schedule an executive session then to discuss the St. Eugene's and the Whalen property?
Further?
That,
Yes.
Yes.
We can schedule another one because we ran out of time.
okay, roger that. Thank you.
Yes. Okay. And in reference to, yeah. All right, so in the new business, I saw Sadiq. Hold on a second. And then I also have something in new business. Sadiq, I see Burke. Is there anyone else? And me. Okay, go ahead, Sadiq.
Well, I'd like to request our honorable mayor and township official, as well as the council, full council, to visit the disaster area, especially on 69th Street. And a part of the disaster is District 7 too. And I think I did talk with most of the business owners, and they are waiting to see us really. So if it's possible, let's make a schedule to visit all the business. It's not many of them, but to visit them and see them and stand beside them.
I would think that would also apply for the Bond Shopping Center. I know that only 2 businesses are remaining there, or at least 2. And then I don't know exactly what happened at Drexel Line. I know there was a lot of damage there as well. So if there's any way we can get a little tour of the damaged site.
Right, this is my district. I want to bring this first. Then I want to go the whole township. Let's move forward, stand beside our business community who get affected.
Right, I'm just adding on to what you're saying, that we should also look at the other areas that were hit. That's all.
Thank you. And this up to our mayor. She can make the schedule and let's move forward.
Great.
Please, please.
No, that's a good idea. Thanks, Sadiq.
Great. Councilman Burke.
Thanks, President Wentz. In our executive session, I wanted to bring something up and was told that to bring it up, during this meeting. I was wondering, our compensation to the firehouses. I got a quick, explanation, but was told to bring it up here. Some glitches. Just was wondering if our compensation to our firehouses monthly, if we could look into it and just make sure it's corrected a little bit or sped up a little bit, just to look into it. I know I mentioned it earlier, so I'd like to bring it back up under new business.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. And then for me, I just want to, I know I was probably supposed to mention this at the beginning of the meeting, that we did have, and council members have reference to it, we did have an executive session prior to the meeting to talk about personnel, a personnel issue, as well as council members have already mentioned, St. Eugene's, and so forth. So I just wanted to officially say that. I just, we had so much in the beginning of the meeting that I didn't really get a chance to mention it. So there we go. And by the request of Councilman Silva, we will have another executive session between now and the next meeting. That'll give us a better opportunity to dive into the St. Eugene's issue and whatever other issues arise before that. Okay. And now I'm seeing Councilman Burke again.
Can we have that not before the meeting so we can have a lengthy discussion? Is that possible or no?
Yes, we can try and find a time between now and the next meeting, perhaps. I just have to check with the powers that be to see what works best for them.
Yeah, just a half an hour sometimes is not enough. Thank you.
Well, we can start it an hour early instead. What are we going to have it after our meeting? Like start it at 11?
No, I was just suggesting some other time if possible. That's
We can
all.
just start it early.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah. So, okay, great. Anyone else for old business? I am seeing none, or new business, sorry. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Move. I saw.
Move.
It's done.
Tunis.
Yes.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Have a great night, everyone.
Good night.
All in, and ending time at 10:10.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.